Well, it's Sunday. We can have a Camerapaloza for Sunday, right? That's what I'm thinking. So how about if we go live at 9 o'clock? Would that be okay with everybody? Sure. Anybody object? Hello? Hello? Nobody objects? Okay. So come 9 o'clock, we're going to go live. And we're going to ask our friends to come and sit with us on a impromptu Camerapaloza live show on Sunday night. So it is now 9 o'clock. The cameras are on. The microphones are on. The computer's on. I think everything is on. Let's see if I charge my battery up. Yeah, I think so. So what are you got planned for the week? Are you going to buy something this week? Or are you going to sell something this week? I don't know. Not unless you tell me. There would be no way for me to know what you've got planned for this brand new week. Ready to start all over. So all the mistakes that we made last week can all be gone, right? They can just whoosh, go away. We don't want them. So now we start with a brand new day every day, actually, but we start with a brand new week. And that means tomorrow is Monday. Who's working on Monday? Everybody works on Monday unless you sleep late. And if you sleep late, okay. Oh, Roger is bringing Scott with him. I saw the last name. Scotty. He's bringing strawberry shortcake. Yes, strawberry shortcakes with whipped cream. And Jeff is here. Jeff, you're into tomorrow. What are you doing here today? Morning from down under. How was your weekend? So let's see. What time is it over there? It is 9 o'clock here. So it is 9 o'clock plus 2 hours. So it is 11. So you're right. It's still morning over there. 11:02. And what is your day going to look like today, Jeff? As a matter of fact, what's your week and what you got on the schedule for the week? I kind of like to know what you're doing this week, because we're right. I would say we're very central to summer. If you want to consider June, July, and August as a basically the summer, and Labor Day starts what they would call the season. So now they've pushed it back where kids start to go to school a lot earlier, up maybe the second week of August they start school. So that for me would have been a ripoff, because it's like, oh, no. I don't want that. We used to go back to school the day after Labor Day. That was the first day back at school. Now they got them going until June, and then they start the second week of August, which just ain't right. So anyway, I would say in the old days, we're right about one day off from the middle of summer. It would have been the 15th of July, but today is the 16th of July. So here we go. Scotty was with me while I was practicing. I wasn't really practicing. I think I just wanted to do some singing last night. So I turned the cameras on. I put it on live, and I just started singing. So Scott says, I can't buy, so I got to sell. What you gonna sell? It's much more fun to buy, but it ain't that bad when you're selling, especially if you're going to get some cash. If you get some cash, then that would be pretty cool. So, lazy day today. Yes, I would have to say it's a lazy day. I got caught up in a movie last night, so it was Saturday night. You know, that's your best night, right? But when you get older, they're all the same. So I got caught up in a movie, and then when I finished the movie, I was like not sleepy. So I came in here, I turned it all on, and I sang. Scotty, I'm so sorry you have to listen to me in the middle of the night. You don't have to come. You don't have to come at all, okay? You can skip it if you want. No problem. So, uh, wait. I didn't even finish what Jeff was saying. Lazy day today. Yeah, I got caught on that. The lazy day. The rest of the doing philosophy in the pool, and may go out and do some photography. So I'm thinking that the speech to text made that he's going to do some swimming in the pool, that he is going to be doing some philosophy in the pool. Now, I haven't done philosophy in the pool in quite a while. Actually, I'm probably not that good at it, because when I'm in the pool, I don't really have my philosophy brain turned on. Honest to God. So what brain do I have turned on? I'm just relaxing, enjoying the water, because you're enveloped where something is touching every part of your body that is different from air. So it's kind of a different feeling that you're in the pool. And with the heat, well, over there you're in the cold. Over here we're in the heat. So it's like a flip-flop. So, and he might go out, Jeff says he might go out and do some photography. Camerapaloza, that's what I named the show tonight, Camerapaloza. We love cameras, cameraology, okay? So we love to play with cameras. We love to talk about cameras. We love to hear other people talk about cameras. We like to hear people talk about cameras that don't know what the heck they're talking about, yet they just will say, that camera has got too much noise. Have you ever used it? No. Do you know how to identify noise? No. Do you know how to get rid of noise? No. But it's got too much noise. I know that. Well, how do you know that? I've heard Northrop say it. I've heard the guy with the helium hair head say it. I heard that guy that's angry all the time say it. So it must be true. Try a little hands-on. Just a little bit. Okay, so anyway. We got Gregory in here. How you doing, Greg? Good to see you. Yep, that's the way it was for me the day after Labor Day. But they get off a lot earlier and go back earlier. Yeah, they kind of like screwed it up. You know, the kids were able to look forward to their summer. And they still do, because they don't know any better. Shh, don't tell them. But for me, it was like once we hit June, they had a few days in June that we had to go to school. But it was over. We just knew it was over. How did we know it was over? June. June actually made us know that school was over. Any teacher that was idiotic enough to try to make us do some work in June was basically an idiot. I'm sorry to say that, all right? No, I'm not sorry to say that, because I really felt that. When June is here, my summer has started. I'll go to school because I have to. My body may be in school, but my mind is in summer, and that's the way I figured it. And then I enjoyed, it was my dad and my dad and his brother, and they were partners. So June was kind of like a catch-all month. But come July and August, one brother would take July off of the business. Didn't have to go to the shop at all, the whole month of July. And then the beginning of August, the other brother. So sometimes our family got July, and sometimes our family got August. So, of course, we had a thing where my dad had to go see his mother, which was up in either Virginia Beach or in New York. So there was no flying with 4 kids, that's 6 people, and a dog. So that was out of the question. So we were preparing to take a car trip from here to Virginia Beach or from here to New York and New Jersey. And sometimes we would go to Virginia Beach when my grandmother had moved there, okay, and we would take like a 3 or 4 day stint and zip up to see family in New York, Okay, and there was some in Jersey also. So that's kind of like the way I looked at summer. So, yep, Gregory says that's the way it was for him. And they were hot summers back then too. I mean, they're making like we've got warnings from the television, we get warnings on our phone. There's a heat warning in effect. Well, let me tell you something. Back when I was a teenager in the 60s, okay, and upper teens and 20s in the 70s, we had hot summers. What the hell? They act like this is something great. We shouldn't be having such a hot summer. Therefore, we have to put warnings out on our phone. And we have to, broadcast it over the radio and it's like, no, in the summer it was hot. That's the way it was. And that's when I was very much into Star Trek and Captain Kirk and Leonard Nimoy. And back then, we weren't in global warming like we are today. We have to get global warming. It's a real thing. Global warming. Well, back then it wasn't, okay? It was global cooling. Okay, so you had the movie stars doing all these public service announcements warning us about global cooling. And basically, we're going to freeze and we're going to have a great giant... You could look it up. You think I'm lying to you? You could look it up on YouTube. Look for Leonard Nimoy, global cooling public service announcements. So just like you would see some a-hole, whatchamacallit, they call them in Hollywood when they act on the camera and they don't know that they're not on the camera anymore and they still act. Okay, now they're doing public service announcements that we're in global warming. And now we got the government involved. We got global warming. We have to surrender our sovereignty in the name of not destroying the planet. Well, let me tell you something. And I'm not talking political now. I'm just talking ironic. Back then, the same thing when I was a teenager in the 60s. The same stuff was going on. But it wasn't global warming. We were scared to death of global cooling. Oh, yes. It was going to be the destruction of the world. We needed to positively get the climate under control because we're going into a deep freeze. And as a teenager, I believed him and I was scared. And then when Spock came on my television and he would say, we're headed towards a global freeze unless we do something right now. And I'm thinking like, wait, I'm a teenager. I believe everybody that's on TV, just like we believe everybody that's on YouTube now, right? So Spock, and he's the first science officer of the Star Trek, the ship, the Enterprise, okay? He's got to know what's going on. He is the epitome of science, is Spock. And he was making these spots that were going on ABC, NBC, CBS, and we'd be watching a show. And of course, as a regular teenager, I watched a lot of TV. We didn't have video, okay? So it was television and food. So you got fat watching television. And then your dad would come home and we had to go out and cut the grass. So right in the heat. And yeah, I had a straw hat. Didn't do anything. But anyway, those global cooling commercials used to, and at the dinner table, I would have to educate everybody at the dinner table. Because don't you know, we're headed towards global cooling. Spock said it. I saw him on TV today. Now, it's global warming. Don't you know? We're in the midst of global warming. I don't know who the top science officer, I don't know if we got a Spock out there making stuff today, but I mean, as a kid, when Spock said something, I believed it. And I knew Star Trek inside and out, okay? So, Ray is here. Hello, Ray. It's Sunday. What you doing? I know parts of California can get unbearable. Yeah, and they get fires. And then the fires they can't contain them, so they start new fires to make it so that the fires don't continue. It's already burnt out, so they can't continue their burning path. And California can get unbearable this time of year, but I can't imagine what a July in Miami feels like. It's the same everywhere. Also, cameras don't particularly enjoy this time of the year. No, our cameras overheat. It's funny. Where do I have a film camera? I don't have one handy. Okay, my film camera never overheated. Did you guys have a film camera that overheated? Now we've got global warming. We've got too hot of a summer, and we've got cameras that overheat. As a matter of fact, one of the guys I got into, and this is a little bit embarrassing, okay, so just cut me a little slack and don't repeat it. But I like watching the gardener videos where they're cutting the grass and they got these ride-along mowers and they've got these stand-on mowers. And now the new thing is electric mowers. It's like, woo-hoo-hoo. Now they're bringing it so that I can't resist. Got to have boys and their toys. That new gadget is an electric lawnmower. And we lived on a rooftop. No grass at all. No, I'm just kidding. We had grass. So how you doing, Ray? I love you, buddy. I hope you're doing good. It does get hot. You do have to take precautions. So I'm not trying to make fun of the heat. It's a serious thing. You can get overheated. You can get what they call heat stroke. Not just you, Ray. People in Texas. There's a video out right now. I wouldn't know how to look it up. But this woman, to make fun of the heat or something, she baked a loaf of bread, a high-rising loaf of bread, in her mailbox, outside in the sun. It took 45 minutes of cook time, and the bread came out looking like, oh my God, I want a piece of that bread. It was so tall. It was beautiful. And she cooked it in her mailbox. Now, imagine you're outside with your camera, and it's in the direct sun. I don't remember like my 20D, 30D overheating, and I was doing weddings in the summer. Okay, maybe they did, and I just wasn't aware of it. So, but today, everybody talks about overheating. How long? Go to Gerald Lundon. He's got a whole segment in every video that he does now that tells you how much time you get before the camera overheats. So now if you say, Peter, what? What did you want? You call my name? Peter, what? I'm answering you. Are you worried? Why did you buy the Panasonic? This one right here. This one. Can't make a complete sentence. Why did you buy that camera when there's so many cameras out there? Nothing wrong with this camera, okay? Well, because I whittled it down to I want a camera with a fan in it. The cameras should have had a fan in them 10 years ago. Not a blower like an central air conditioner or a window unit where it's like, no, I didn't say put air conditioning in the cameras, okay? But I think that cameras could have a natural, slow spinning, you can't even hear it, fan built in so it would blow air across the insides of the camera. And maybe it didn't even need an exhaust. Maybe it just circulated. Maybe the fan can just circulate it. And one aspect, like obviously heat rises, maybe the top, would be constructed in such a way where the whole top of the camera would become a heat sink. So it could suck air off of the SD card, blow it across the back where all the electronics are. You don't want to get dust in your sensor, okay? Blow it up, bring it to circulate across the top where we would have some kind of a heat exchange in operation. There's scientists that figure this crap out. I can't be a little old photographer in Miami, Florida to figure it out, okay? I'm just saying there's, from what I've seen when them opening the cameras, there's room in there for a slow-moving fan. Either a blower cage or one that was actually like a regular fan blade, all right? And it could, when they get fancy, they could even have a control so it could pick up the speed. But they could be completely silent. I mean, the Mac Mini M1 that I have is sitting right over there. I have never heard the fan come on. Now, on the iMac, my 2017 iMac with the Intel processor, I hear the fan spinning up. And my friend Aaron Short, he's got a channel. He sings and plays guitar. Okay. Well, he was in an apartment in New York, so the space is very limited. So the cameras were right here. The computer was right underneath it. So just by looking at him, you saw him, or you still do, and the closet door behind him. So there was a little space behind him. But I don't think he was very far from the front wall. So when his computer, the fans spun up, because it gets hot in New York also, he was like, he hated the sound of the fan. Now, I got the fan on in here and the air conditioner on in here, okay? And I'm using well, let's just call it a dynamic mic, but it's not really. This mic is from the 60s and the 70s. It's like it's a 50, 60-year-old mic, okay? So it's basically a condenser mic that's got the ability to reject surrounding sounds. So if I be quiet for a second, listen and see what you hear. You don't hear anything. But if I were to turn on, where is it? Oh, it's behind me. Okay. There's a microphone back there. Well, you can't focus on it. I don't see it. It's there. I thought, oh, somebody took my microphone. Okay, if I put my high-end singing mic and brought that here, you would hear so much fan and air conditioner noise, it would be like accentuating it, really, really loud. Okay, so it's a difference what mic you use. Now, the standard that you would buy today, you can't buy these today. Not that you would even want to. Okay. But the standard that you would buy today would be like, let's say you wanted to spend up to $100. So you would go with a Shure SM57. That's what this is. So this mic was also back from the 70s, maybe even earlier. I don't know when they started making these. Okay. So this is a dynamic mic that takes no power at all. You plug the XLR cable. XLR is a type of cable, okay? So it's an XLR cable. Oh, Kyle is texting me. He doesn't realize I'm live. So let me tell him I'm live so he can come in and say hello. Okay, hi, Kyle, I'm live right now. And you'll see him popping in and saying hi. So, where was I? This is the SM57. You could get these used as low as $50. You can get them brand new like ADORAMA. There'll be a link in the description below. Please use my links. Do I have to tell you that over and over? Don't just use my links when you want to buy something. Use my links when you get really nosy and you can't contain yourself and you got to go over and see what the comments are about a particular camera. Because I've listed in the description below, I've listed most of the equipment that I could think of that I'm using in here. So I'm actually running 4 cameras. On the side would be a Sony. Over here, sorry, Panasonic S5 Mark II. Then I've got a Sony up on top, which is not in the revolving cameras. And then I've got a Nikon, which you're going to come to. And then I do have a Sony E10. So those are in the list below. Now I'm using this mic. This mic is not in the list. I don't think I put this mic in the list underneath. Okay. So this mic is what they call a vintage mic. I call it an extinct mic. I don't think you could find one if your life depended on it. But this one, Between these two mics, I would consider this one a better mic, and this one would come in second in terms of sound. However, this mic is like 50, almost 60 years old technology, what you're hearing now, all right? And I think it does better than this mic. So why this mic survived and this one didn't? This mic is good for singing and stuff like that. It does have a where the P's, where you pop your P's, they're called plosives. So if I were to talk to you like this, plosives, and the mic was not modified, so this mic is modified, okay? And it's modified so that the plosives don't come through. I've got what you wash your body with in the shower. What do they call those? Like the scrubbers? Well, they're kind of like netting, and they bundle it up and they tie it up, and then you wash yourself, and it's supposed to exfoliate your skin. Okay. Well, if you take a scissors and you clip, I don't have one handy, and you clip what ties it all together, it completely unravels, and you've got like netting. I don't know how else to call it. It's like a net. So you get the cover that Shure makes for this microphone, and you stuff all the netting up in there, and then you put the cover on, and that basically stops the plosive. So I've got the same thing going on here. So I can go, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. You're not hearing the P's, and yep, I can put out a candle with the amount of P that I'm putting out, all right? I'm talking about plosives. Keep your mind up here, above, eyes up here, please, okay? So I did the same thing for this mic, and I did it for that mic. So that simple thing didn't alter the sound whatsoever. It's still, both of them are as pristine as can be, and yet the plosives are like 99.999% gone. I could take this out in a windstorm. Not that I'd have an XLR connector out there, okay, and talk to you, and it wouldn't affect the mic. And I learned that, how? Oh, it's way too far for me to get it. Shure makes like a big balloon, and it's designed to kill the popping of your P's. Well, I accidentally broke it, and I found out that they have stuff inside. And what is that stuff? It's kind of like that netting that you wash your body with, with the string, and it's all bunched up, and it basically, exfoliates your skin and does that kind of stuff. How you doing, Sony? So that's the Sony up there, all right? And I'll tell you a secret. You can see right here when the camera's going to change. Now, that's for me. It's not for public consumption. But I left it there because most people don't pay attention. So now I can tell when the camera's going to change. So this is still available and still being made. But because they haven't solved the plosives like I did, they made another one. So this is the SM57. So this is the SM58. Same basic microphone, but they put a ball cap on here. And you'll see this shape with different colors. Like I bought this one candied for the Christmas room, red and white. So these are the mics that basically the singers eat. They sing where almost it's down their throat. And they have the technology in there where basically you could sing, in a Gata da Vida, hongy, bum, 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 and you don't get plosives. Okay, so this became the vocal mic, and this one became known as an instrumental mic. Well, I actually like, even though I'm being very, very nitpicky, I like the sound of this one better than I like the sound of this one. But if you were laying in bed in a dark room and you were just listening, you couldn't tell the difference. That's how close they are, okay? So I'm just being really anal when I like the sound of this one so much better than I like the sound of this one. Well, I could say to myself, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, okay? So these are usually black like this one, all right? But you can custom order these in any color you want. I could have gotten an all green one, an all red one, an all white one. You can. It's divided into 3 sections. Okay, you've got the globe on top. You've got the collar, the ring here, where like your tie. All right. And then you've got the body. Now, wouldn't it be nice to have a slim body like that? Damn. Okay. Mine comes out and there's like a gut that's there. So you can customize these on certain websites, okay, where you could pick the color of this section, the collar, the ring, and the ball up in the top. So this one is white and candy apple red. They call it a gloss red. So if I was talking with this one, it kind of looks like it belongs in this room, right? So this is the Christmas room mic. And this was actually donated to the Christmas room by one of you guys. Just an FYI. All right. Now this one has been around for hundreds of years. Okay. Not really, but it feels like it. But I never put it in or engaged it into use until I was able to solve the plosive problem. Okay. Now that it's solved, I interchange this one with this one at will. I just make it so whatever I'm in the mood for, that is what I decide to actually plug in, put it in the mic stand. So now the unique thing about this and why I think this one sounds a little bit better is it's actually a condenser style, which brings in more noise, but they've designed it in a way where it rejects the surrounding sound. So you don't hear the air conditioner running against the wall and you don't hear the fan blowing, okay? So I have to stay cool. I am in Miami. The roof gets hot, even though it's nighttime. All right, so enough with the mics. So where, oh, where? So that was Ray, okay? So what I wanted to say, Ray, is we went to New York one summer when I was a kid. And, of course, we drove up there. And the family was having like a birthday party for one of my aunts that was 90 years old or something. A relative, all right? It was a relative. So we drove from here straight to New York. And I figured, oh, thank God we'll get out of the heat. Do you know that New York was hotter than Miami? That was a shock to me. Where's Leonard Nimoy when you need him? Don't go to New York, Peter. I'm number one. I'm the scientist, the chief science officer on the Star Trek, the ship Enterprise. So don't go to New York. Well, I was surprised at how hot it is. So you guys, that wherever you are, if you think it's hotter somewhere else, it might be hotter for a few days or something, but it's very similar. The temperatures are kind of similar. So in Texas right now, where they've got heat warnings and they're just crazy and they want to make sure you don't die dead from the heat and all that, we were going through that in the 60s. Did you think something changed? Hello? Don't you know the propaganda out today is global warming? So it's hotter now than it was back then, but it's about the same. So when I go out and I can't take the heat now, it's like when I used to go out and I couldn't take the heat when I was 17, 16, years old. And Dad would say, you got to go cut the back grass. Do you think he gave it any thought? It's hot as hell out there. I don't want my son who I love so much, to go out there and get a heat stroke. Maybe you should cut the grass tomorrow, Peter. Or maybe we should wait for a cooler day, Peter. No, get out there and cut the grass. And I had to pull that lawnmower over and over to get the darn thing to start, because I didn't learn about taking out the spark plug and cleaning it, so this way it would start right up for many years to come. Now, I got an electric lawnmower and a gardener, and I only use the electric lawnmower for exercise, because I spend a lot of my time sitting on my rump. And guess what happens when you sit on your rump all the time? You get a rump roast. You get a big, you can sell it by the pound. So I get out there, I cut the grass. Of course, it's a self-pushing mower, but I'm walking, all right? And yeah, it's hot out there. So that's what I wanted to say, Ray. So Gregory is doing well. It's a Sunday. Everybody can relax because your week doesn't technically start till tomorrow unless you're in Australia or Romania or some other time zone where your week has already started. So how's tomorrow? And Gregory says, doing well. He's not answering that question. I just kind of like fit it in like a puzzle. Okay. And here's Vasia. How you doing, Vasia? Good to see you. I love you. I love you, Gregory. I love you, Ray. I love everybody in here. Jeff. This is the Christmas room. Peace on earth, goodwill towards men. That's the message of the Christmas room. And we mostly play with cameras. So I do have a kitchen channel, but it's not in here. It's in the kitchen. Okay. So in here, the message, without me even saying it every 2 minutes, peace on earth, goodwill towards men, and it's the birthday of Jesus. And I'm a Christian, so that means something to me, okay? Now, other people that are not Christians, doesn't mean squat, but to me it does. So this has been my set for how long? Technically since 2010. I think I started off a little bit timid, so it was on and off Christmas room. And the way the Christmas room was born is my parents have 4 kids, and I was putting up the tree and taking down the tree and putting up the tree and taking down the tree. And next year, I'm putting up the tree and taking down the tree. And I'm thinking like, wait, I got 3 brothers. I got a mother and a father. You know, a little help would be nice. So, yeah, we'll schedule it. Second Tuesday of next week, we're going shopping. It's getting to be close to Christmas. We have to go shopping. My mother was a shopaholic. So I decided to rebel one year. Yes, I did. And I said, I don't have to put it up or take it down either. Well, it was in the point where it was up. And so it stayed up. And it was Valentine's. So my mother started to gripe. I don't want that tree in the big family room. And it's February. Christmas was like 2 months ago. What are you doing? So I said, okay, when can you get everybody together to help me take the tree down? Because you got to take all the ornaments off first. See the tree back there? Okay, you got to take the ornaments down first, and then you can unstring. Back then we were stringing and unstringing the tree. Okay, the lights. Then you take the branches, they pop off. They were individual branches. Now they got like, it's just 3 sections is the whole freaking tree. Okay. You put it all in boxes. You pack it away. You take it down to the garage, and somebody's got to help you put the boxes up on the upper shelves because the car comes in. There's shelves up lining the outer walls. Okay. So I didn't take it down. What are you going to do, sue me? Hello? You do have 3 other sons. You do have a husband or dad. You do have a wife. So let's have a family night and take the tree down. Never happened. So the tree has been up since 2010. So, because I was a little embarrassed that we had a Christmas tree up also, I would take the camera and I'd put it at the other end. Like the cameras are all there facing the trees. Okay, the tree back there. Well, I would put the cameras over there facing something all over here where there is no Christmas decorations. But it's very bland. It's nothing but, 1970s paneling, which is still there to this day, and wallpaper that's atrocious. Atrocious enough where now it's become a conversational piece, where now I own the house, and no, I ain't taking the wallpaper down. It's like an ugly sweater party, okay? So this was Dad's office. So Dad came out of his office and walked right through while I was filming a video, okay? So he stopped and he looked, and he just kind of did like a general consensus of overview of the lay of the land, so to speak. And I'm still recording, okay? Not live like we are now. So if Dad walked through here now, it'd be a miracle because he left for heaven in 2015. Okay, so we'd be having a different kind of show. Trust me when I tell you that. It'd be a very different show if Dad walked through my video right now, okay? I bet we'd go up to 100,000 people watching in a heartbeat. So Dad stopped, and I'm recording all this, and he goes like, there's a beautiful tree with lights and all kinds of decorations over there. Why are you facing the camera towards the paneling? There's nothing there. A little picture that my mother painted, and had its prominent place, okay? So I was more fuming because I had to start the video over again. I didn't quite understand the fact that you could just start from a certain point, and in the computer you could put it together, clips like they have now, B-roll. Well, we weren't B-rolling back then, okay? So I started over. But the seed was planted, and it started to ferment in my mind. That tree is pretty nice looking. Okay, now, I moved into here after Dad passed away, and this is his office. So this is permanently set up, and I got a door that I could lock. So if we have company and I don't want them touching the camera or moving it, I don't want this moved like that, because if I don't remember to put it back where it belongs, then my audio is all screwed up. Well, if somebody gets a curiosity about my camera, oh, this is a new Nikon Z6. Very nice looking camera, and they're just molesting it with their fingers. Don't touch the camera. Okay? So I got a door and a lock. So if someone's coming over, we're coming to visit you, Peter, I close the door. Okay? And I lock it. And when I lock it, nobody can come in. Now, they can come in. I don't mind that. But with me here. And if they get near the cameras, I will become a little bit vocal and verbal. And I will say something to the effect, don't touch the camera. Yeah, something nice like that. Okay. So that's how the Christmas room was born. All right. So ever since then, after I got over the intimidation, there was very few people, but there was a few people that wanted to call me names because I'm doing Christmas in May, Christmas in August, and Christmas in September and October when the leaves are changing, and I had a Christmas set. Well, now it's 10, 12, 13 years, going on 14. So I'm kind of numb or desensitized to what's up with the Christmas room, dude? I'm a little bit high over here and I'm seeing Christmas. What's wrong with me? Well, change the channel before you die. Hurry, change the channel. So now I'm used to it. Everything's fine, okay? But this room has no windows. And that's why we got an air conditioner in the wall. We got a fan up on the shelf over there, and we don't have central air conditioning because my mother and Dad were such opposite people. My mother wanted to sleep basically in the refrigerator, and Dad wanted to sleep in the pizza oven, okay? So they could never agree on the temperature of the house. So back then, there was something called window units and wall units. They still sell them. So this house is pretty big, and I think we got 8 or 10 window units. So we took the window units out of the window and cut a hole in the wall and put them in the wall. Okay? So in order for me, I'm the talent. So when they say, oh, what's the talent? I'm the talent here. Really. It surprises me too. All right. I have to stay cool. So I've got the air conditioner, which is running. Can you hear it? If you can, you've got earbuds in and you turned up your volume. Okay. Because nothing even registers on the meter that I'm looking at. So let's get back. I was just saying hi to Vasia in Romania, and these 2 summer months are required for the wheat to ripe. That is what our parents told us. See, that's another thing. That's another thing. When our parents told us something, we weren't old enough to question it. Okay, and we just took it, and it became a part of us. And it's just like you grow up with whatever your parents planted into your brain. It took a hold and it stays there. And then when you're older, sometimes you don't even question it still. Okay? And then we get older and rowdy, and then we start questioning and coming up with new things. That was Vasia and Jeff. We were so international tonight. I'm in Miami, but I was born in New York, and my parents or grandparents come from the Greek heritage, Greece and Cyprus and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I wind up talking with my hands a lot. Yes. So the way this chair is situated, it's, you know how your underwear rides up and you don't like that? Well, this shirt is riding up and it's annoying my neck. Okay, so psychotherapy in the pool. That is what Jeff is trying to tell me. That's what you were trying to say, and that's what it typed. Well, they got a ways to go, okay? They do. They got a ways to go. But you just relax in your pool, have your tea or whatever you got. I hope it's a cold beverage, all right? So Vasia says they need to scare people, as in pandemic. Ha! You got that right. To agree with their programmed regulations. Well, here's the interesting part. I've read the back of the book, and we win. So they're just spinning their wheels. We could laugh at them. They do cause some damage, okay? Unfortunately, they do cause some damage. But we can laugh at them because now we're in global warming. And global warming is going to be played up by politics, and it's going to be, but the news media runs with it because they have their own agenda. You know what? I don't know how old you are. I probably won't be around that long. But if a kid was born today or last week, by the time he's 15 or 20 years old, it won't be global warming. It'll be something else. And it'll be catastrophic. Like what they're telling us global warming is absolutely catastrophic. The global warming is breaking the glaciers apart, and the icebergs are breaking off and they're floating, and it's going to cool off the sea. I mean, it's terrible. It's a catastrophe. Okay? So, but when the boy or girl that's born today at 15 years old, it's going to be a different catastrophe. And I'm old enough, I'm going to be 70 in October, where I've seen these things cycle through. Now, if you're younger and you haven't seen the cycle, you're embedded in this cycle. And you believe it. And you're ready to raise arms about it, okay? But they change. And it's the same thing with politics. Right now, the country is crazy liberal, okay? But you know what? It's just a few years back, and it was crazy conservative. Then it goes crazy liberal. Then it swings back crazy conservative. And each side can't believe what the other side is getting away with. They're destroying our country. But the pendulum swings and swings. And you ever see a clock with its pendulum just stuck up there? It doesn't stay. Gravity will bring it back, and it'll swing back. Same thing with your weight. You'll lose weight, you'll gain it back. You'll lose weight, you'll gain it back. Same thing with breathing. You breathe in, at some point, you got to let the air out. And then when you let the air out, you got to breathe in again. It's called cycles. And this whole planet is built on cycles. You notice they don't teach you that. They just use whatever cycle that we're in as a way to frazzle you so that you could take more drugs and drink more booze and whatever else that they got to do, okay? So, Vasia, I just read that with there, and then now Gregory. I was wondering what country you're in, Gregory. Oh, you're in Plantation. He's up the road, okay? So if I got on I-95 and I went north and then went west, Somewhere around 595. These are the highways we have down here, the expressways as we call it. Some part of the country, like Raymond, they're not called expressways, they're called freeways. Okay? So you'd be up at Plantation. So he's a stone's throw and a spit and a holler up the road. Okay? So between here and where Gregory is, there is Lewis, Mr. Camera Junkie. So he's in Fort Lauderdale. So there we go. And Gregory, I hope you don't mind if I say Greg, because I hate it when people call me Pete. It's Peter. Now, remember what I told you a few minutes ago? If you're following the trend, I said something to the effect of your parents will get you to think something and it just stays with you even though you never really thought it through. Well, my mother would correct people when I was maybe 5, 6, 8 years old, to the point where I remember it. His name is Peter, not Pete. And as I grew up, I started to mimic that. And now when people call me Pete, no, it's Peter. There's an R. Don't change my name. Now, does that matter? Not in the least bit. But inside my computer in here, there's a computer between here and here, okay? It's Peter, not Pete, okay? Now, that's something that gets programmed in when you're a child. And I know other people that don't like it when you shorten their name, and that's why I become respectful, because I've said Greg to Gregory up in Plantation a couple of times. Maybe he doesn't like that. So I've become respectful to the point where I want to ask. So anyway, he's staying. I'm thinking of buying an SR Mark II. Well, I bought one, and it's going to be up in 9 seconds, and you'll be able to see it. So I already did a video on it, and tomorrow I'm going to do another one about the focus system. Not a rating of it. Is it good or bad? I want to do a video to show how the focus system works and how you can control it. Now, whether a person decides if it's a good focus system or not, that's their business. So I will give my opinion. I could tell you right now, it's a very good focus system. All right. So the difference between the focus system on this one and one of the best ones, which would be the Sony, in my opinion, okay, it just comes down to the range. I really think that the Sony can reach out a little bit farther and still maintain the excellence of the focus system. Now, I haven't been able to prove that, but I have seen people walk like Shane at Geeky Nerdy Techie, where he took the S5 Mark II out to the park. And he walked, I don't know, 50 feet away from the camera and walked back. So there's a difference. When I'm using this camera in here, I'm using it in its comfort zone, for the lack of a better terminology. Okay? So my opinion, my untested opinion, is that the comfort zone on the S5 Mark II is slightly more shallow or less than the Sony, even the cheaper Sonys. Okay, so if that's important to you, is it a deal breaker? No, it's just you got to know how to use the camera, which is what I want to make a video on the focus system. It's not, I want to rate the focus system. I'm going to tell you if this is a good focus system or a bad focus system. Okay, so I will tell you what I think about it. No, I will be doing a video like that. All right, it attracts viewers, and that's why I'm on YouTube. I'm on YouTube to funnel people in, to get them to click on my links, to get people to buy my course, and to build up the number of subscribers. Okay, that's the purpose. That's the vision of YouTube for anybody. Very rarely does, and I mean super rarely, does anyone start out, oh, I'm having fun, and you come back a year later and they're still, oh, I'm having fun. We're people, we're humans, and if you're males, males are designed to conquer. We're designed to, be goal-oriented and to win at those goals. If you're watching football, there's a goal there. If you're watching wrestling, these guys look like they're molesting each other, but they're not. They're basically playing the game of chess with their bodies. They're trying to score points by doing this or doing that. Okay? Well, I'm sorry, but YouTube is another sport. We are on YouTube. There's the E10. So this is probably one of the best cameras you could buy on the lower end of the price. Okay? It just puts out a darn good picture and has an excellent focus system. So now the distance is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, possibly 14 feet away. And yet it's still able to find my face. And that's doing, in my opinion, better than the Panasonic, which the Panasonic has just as good as a focus system as this guy. All right? I just think that the focus system has got a bigger grab out on what you want to focus on the Sony versus this one. And I will make a video basically trying to show that within the realm of the Christmas room. So I would say, Gregory, the SR Mark II is a thumbs up. All right, the one that I bought is, they keep coming up with these open boxes or used 10 on B&H or ADORAMA. And they're basically brand new cameras. They're probably cameras that they loaned out to people as demonstration units, or were out at the front counter and they used them, and they just rotate them and put some out to bring people to make sales. So if they're willing to sell it for $17.90, $17.97, which is what I bought this one for, that means that the $19.99, the 2001, they're making at least a $200 profit, okay? Because they're not going to price it, below their cost when they put those out. Now, if you happen to be at the right place at the right time, so to speak, I was there and I was able to get this camera for $17.97, I believe was the price. So you just keep looking, you examine the camera, and whenever you get it, the first thing you do, have to, without question, you have to reset the camera, because people will do weird things to the camera, and it could have been returned because they got themselves boxed into a corner. So you could get an open box camera or a demo unit, and the camera has not been reset, and you think it's broken. You really do. I've had that feeling, even with this one, all right? So it becomes important that you reset the camera. Even if you buy a brand spanking new one, you don't know somebody in the warehouse or didn't open it up to play with it out of curiosity or something and just put it right back in, so nobody even knows it was opened. So always reset your camera when you get a new camera, whether it's new, used, demo, reconditioned, refurbished. Always reset your camera. That is actually very critical. So you get a thumbs up on buying the SR2. So what is the SR2 about? Okay. For me, I don't want to be sitting in here and have to worry about a camera overheating. And because I have a wedding mindset, it's just built into me. It's like you pee always using one hand, and if you use the other hand, it just ain't right, okay? Well, I'm always thinking in terms of weddings and events. And the cameras have become more fragile in terms of overheating. And I can't imagine if I was out shooting a wedding, and I've never had it happen to me, okay, where the camera overheated. And in sunny South Florida, even the night times are hot. And they've got like the Vizcaya, they've got like a place up in North Miami with all trees, and the wedding is completely outdoors where it's hot, and they've got fans going to keep the breeze up and stuff like that. Well, you'd think after so many years, and I've been doing weddings since the 70s, 1970s, hello, you'd think I would have experienced an overheating problem, but this was pictures. I didn't do video. I've only done video on 3 weddings that I can think of, and 2 of them were not even paid, okay? They were because I wanted to do some video. And then when you do slideshows and you present the bride with a slideshow, it's nice to go from static picture and you make the transition from one picture to the next as pretty as possible. This is where you get creative. And then all of a sudden, you've got a few seconds of a live shot. Ooh, that slideshow comes to life. So I was able to do that also. So yeah, Greg, you can definitely take my approval on the S52, as I call it. It's the S5 Mark II, not an SR52, and I make the same mistake when I type it out. It's the S5, and so the key features on this camera, and there was some bonus, is number 1, 2, and 3, is it's got a built-in fan. Okay, that would be a key thing for me. Number 2, the darn thing focuses really, really, really well, above and beyond what I even expected. I expected good focusing because I hear people that I like to follow that are saying the focus is pretty good, and then I hear people go where the focus failed and stuff like that. Okay, so having the camera now, I think this week is going to enter the 3rd week. I don't want to say it's user error, it's user ununderstanding. So if the user doesn't understand how to use the autofocus system, like I could say the same exact thing about the Canon, and I could say the same exact thing about the Sony, believe it or not. And that's one of the things I'm going to make a video about. Everybody was saying how great my first Sony was an A7 III, okay? And it was a really good camera. I was running that in the Christmas room for 2 years. 2 years, okay? That's a long time. And I was getting cameras running through all the time that were exciting and everything, and nothing got me excited enough until the Nikon Z6. Now, when I bought the Sony A7S Mark III, okay, no, that's the Sony up there. Okay, so when I bought the A7 III, I actually purchased the Nikon Z6 first. And the reason for that is, remember I said I come from a background of a wedding photographer? Well, I am fully loaded, ready to hunt bear when it comes to lenses on a Nikon system, because I was doing weddings starting with the Nikon D3, then I moved into the D3X, then I moved into the D800E, and then I piddled and paddled with the D7000, D7100, D7200, and so do you have a 50 millimeter lens? Yes, I do. Do you have a 25? Yes, I do. Do you have a 35? Yes, I do. Do you have a 70 to 200? Why, yes, I do. Okay, so to put all those lenses to use, I needed to buy a Nikon camera. Okay, kind of makes sense. 1 and 1 sometimes equals 2. All right, so I bought the Z6, not thinking there could be anything wrong with it. But you know that the focus system was not up to snuff. It couldn't pass the Christmas room, what I call the walk of focus. So I was very disappointed, because now I have a camera that actually I could use all my lenses. Merry Christmas, all right? And but when I went to go focus with the thing, no, it wasn't a set it and forget it, and it would do well. That was like the big sin, all right? So very reluctantly, I actually ordered a Sony A7 Mark III. And the reason I say reluctantly, because me and Sony at that time, not the company, but the camera, didn't get along. The Nikons and the Canons are built, and the Lumix, the Panasonic, are built like cameras. That is the thing. They're built like cameras. Okay, this Nikon that I feel so at home with the Nikon. I feel so at home with the Canon, and with the S5 Mark II from the Panasonic company. I feel so at home with that camera. When I get into a Sony, I don't feel at home. Now, remember what I said? You got kids, and they, like my mother, put it into my head that my name is Peter and I will not be called Pete, okay? Well, I got into the way of using the camera, and when I got into the Sony is so much more like I'm working with a computer, which is nothing wrong with that, than I am with a Canon. I mean, with a camera, okay? So when I ordered it, I was sad, okay? But the focus system worked. It worked in my Christmas room. I could turn the camera on. I go, hey, Subcultured, I see you. I'm coming down to you in a second. Okay. And it would just work. And then I did discover some stuff. There's some ways to make the focus system on the Sony camera not work. Can you believe that? How could somebody come on YouTube and say the focus on the Sony system doesn't work well? Well, the focus on the Sony system works very well. Let's call it user error, but it's more user misunderstanding. Okay, so that happens with most of the cameras. So I sent the Nikon Z6 back so reluctantly. I bought the FTZ adapter because I've got all these wonderful lenses, all my wedding gear. I could put it back to life. This meant a lot. If I was coming to your house for dinner, I could take my camera and bring my 24 mil or my 35 mil, or the 24 to 70. All of that could be put right back into operation. You know what they call these cars that they find in a garage that's been there for 40 years because the woman died and they didn't sell the car and they put it in a barn? They're called survivors. So my lenses are survivors. They work great. Better than great. Okay? So I sent it back. I got the Sony and I worked with the Sony, and then my buddy up in the New England area, okay, he said, Peter. I said, what? He said, I got a Nikon Z6. And I wanted to say, oh, I'm sorry, but I didn't. And he said, the focus is fantastic. And I'm thinking, wait, this guy knows about cameras. What the heck is he talking about? No, he says, the focus system is amazing on it. And I'm going like, I don't see how you could say that. I couldn't get it to operate good in the Christmas room. It just wasn't working for me. I don't have more than one person here. When I turned the camera on, at that time I wasn't into the sit down mode, okay? I was walking around a lot, all right? And I had a desk, which I still have. It's right there, okay? But now I found I could sit and I could still present a very good show to you. I could still use my 4 cameras. And so since I'm on for an hour or longer on the live stream, sitting has become my new favorite position, all right? So my friend was telling me, and I said, no way. And then I found out that Nikon did a complete rebuild of their focus system, and it started with firmware 3.0. And the other people that did the same thing at different times, though, was Olympus. So Olympus was hit or miss, okay? They were Micro Four Thirds. And Panasonic was not hit or miss, okay? So this guy right here was hit or miss, but too many misses to make it comfortable for me, all right? So the Sony, solid, very solid. So that's why I bought the Sony A7 Mark III. And because it had a 30-minute recording limit, and because at that time I wasn't baptized into B-roll, or where you could start splicing all this crap together, okay, I would run out of 30 minutes because I talk too much sometimes, or I make a mistake. So I would have to start over. So I bought a Ninja 5, the one that's a Ninja V. I still have it. It's still one of the best things out there. So I recorded straight from the Sony into my Ninja, and then I would just take the hard drive out of the Ninja and plug it into my computer. No transferring of files, and I could just start over as often as I wanted. You could record with the Ninja 5 through the HDMI output as long as you want. Okay, that's when I started to learn something new. The connection, the HDMI connection, is fragile. Would you think it? You know, it's kind of like giving you clothing that they're not going to tell you that the stitches in the private areas, they're kind of on the weak part. So don't stretch your pants or you're going to be putting on a show. Okay, so I didn't know that the HDMI connector was weak. So on this camera and on every camera in here, except this one, has got the little baby HDMI connections. This camera has the full-size, heavy-duty, solid as a rock HDMI connection. So if you're the type of guy that's not going to use it, that's fine. But if you do, it's waiting there for you, the large connector. If you got overheating problems, the fan is waiting there for you on this. You need to use waveforms, it's waiting for you in this camera. You need to, or you get excited about something called anamorphic lenses, guess what? That's waiting for you in this camera. You want to use LUTs for your V-Log or your S-Log or whatever log you're going to use, and you want it to be built in and working inside the camera, guess what? It's built in on this camera. So this camera is like above its pay grade. You can grow and grow and grow and grow all on this camera. Now, does it have any weak points? Of course it does. Come on, give me a break. You're going to show me a perfect camera? I'll show you a perfect camera, okay? Here's a good example. It starts with the name. They screwed it up with the name right off the bat. The Sony EVE1. Sorry, ZVE1. So I have a ZV1, okay? So, and I have an E10, which is over there. Oh, we're looking at this guy right now. So the name of this camera is a ZVE10. So Sony came out with a ZVE1. Okay, so they didn't stop to think this is going to confuse the hell out of everybody, and it does. Okay, but the ZVE1 basically has everything you would want in the camera, almost. It's designed as a vlogger's camera, and it's got all these great things, but they slipped in two crazy deal breakers. Number one, because they put so much into a little tiny body, it overheats just when you go, it'll blow over. You know how they say, that guy's so weak, if you just blow on him, he'll fall down, okay? Well, the new one has got so much good stuff in it, it can't handle the heat. So that is a serious deal breaker. Now I'm watching people make videos with that new E1. I'm going to call it the E1 because I can't handle all these weird names, okay? And they basically say there's no overheating problem unless you're going to put the camera on and try to record something for 15, 20 minutes or something like that. Okay, now that might be very, very true. It could be, you know, something that actually you wouldn't really think of that if you are doing, you know, run and gun or clips or just running your HDMI connection. So that brings us to the next problem on that E1, the HDMI connection. It's a small connection. So if you're going to use the camera in your version of the Christmas room or your set, quote unquote, okay, and you want to take the camera and go out and about, you want to go to the lake, to the park, to the shopping center, to the restaurant, to your girlfriend's house. You want to take it to your, okay, I was going to get nasty, whatever, okay. It's got the overheating that you've got to be careful of. Now, if you live in the North Pole, the overheating is not possible. But when you bring it back to your set, you've got to plug it back in. And for some reason, that's my 10 o'clock alarm. It's 15 minutes late. For some reason, they put the little connector in there. So you've got an FX30 from Sony, and they put a big connector. They got this new E1, which is costs more money. It's $2,200, where it's $1,900 for the FX30, okay? And the FX30's got the full-size HDMI port, just like this one. But the E1's got the baby connection, okay? So, like Gregory said, he's looking into the S52. All right, so what's he going to compare it to? He's looking at the Sony A7 Mark IV. He's looking at the Canon R6 Mark II. He's looking at the Nikon, either the ZV, not the ZV, they don't have a ZV, the Z6 Mark II or the Z7 Mark II, okay? They all have the baby connections. So if you're going to actually work your camera, I mean, most people don't buy it to be like a piece of jewelry. They actually will work their camera. You're going to find that the HDMI connection is more important than most people are going to give it credit for, okay? So they do come out with cameras that's got mistakes. This is the only camera that I could actually find that is full frame. It's got heat control, has got memory so that I could take it in and out of the Christmas room and enjoy it in my life. So I have the settings here set up. So when I go to your house or any place and I screw everything up, I just go up on the top of the dial. I put it back to C3. That's as far out of the way as I can get it. And guess what? All the settings that you see now get remembered. Except, I'll talk about that in another video. It does miss a couple of major ones, okay, which is unfortunate. But they're probably thinking those would be settings that you would use and manipulate all the time anyway. But the point is, I think if I preset the camera to be with these settings, it needs to be with these settings when I put it back. That's my thinking. Apparently, Panasonic doesn't agree with that. So that's not, that's a design error in my opinion, okay? And they did it this way because they think this is the way to rock and roll, okay? So, overheating, that's taken care of. So I was going down the list. It's got a full-size HDMI. So when I bring it back and I plug it back in, I plug it in and out, plug it in and out, plug it in and out. Still fine. Now this is a lower tier, okay? But I could power it completely from the wall, almost indefinitely, just without even using a dummy battery, just using the USB port, because it will give it enough power to not, here's your catch, okay, not depreciate the battery. So Sony, Canon, I think Nikon, okay, but I'm not sure, all right? They will allow you to power, the newer cameras, will allow you to power your camera with a USB plugged into your USB port on this camera. However, it doesn't give it the full power. It's still depending on a little bit of drip from the battery. Well, if you drip long enough, you're going to depreciate the battery. Panasonic doesn't do that. When you plug this into the wall, the 45 millimeter plug-in that they give you with the camera, it stays at 45 watts. I said millimeter? I'm sorry. I meant to say the 45 watt power adapter they give you with this camera. I'm making the statement over. Now, if this was being recorded, I would cut out the mistake, okay, and then come back in and splice it together. And with my skill level, I would make it look like I had a different camera angle. You would never know that I made a freaking mistake, okay? But I'm live. So the mistake stays, all right? So the 45-watt adapter that comes with, see that I'm starting over again. So the 45-watt adapter that comes with the Panasonic S52 powers the camera completely. Yes, you have to have the battery inside. If I pull the battery out, I haven't tried that, but that's a good thought. But it does not depreciate the battery. So I can, when we have the Rapture and the Rapture sequence, many people think the Rapture is going to happen like that. Okay, I can go live with the Rapture for like 2 or 3 days, and this camera will stay hot, where the Sony will not, the Nikon will not, the Nikon ZFC will not. So you actually have to have a battery, dummy battery up inside, and a fresh battery, because it's still going to trickle it off. All right, anyway, this camera doesn't do that. All right, this camera has got more growth potential built into it than any other camera that I've come across. Okay, the only other camera that would have great growth potential is not in the $2,000 range, which brings me to the next thing. You can't buy a camera for $2,000 that does what this camera does. So what's the gotchas? What is the got you on the S52? Now, the got yous are either big enough where it really gets you, and it's like, no, I don't want the camera. And I can understand that 100%. It actually bothered me a little bit. So you know what I did? I did the old thing that people used to do when they were cavemen in cameras. I did some hands-on testing, not with this camera, with another camera, okay? So what this camera does is you can go all the way up to 30p and back, and just about any mode. I'm sure there's one in there where it's different, okay? And you stay in full frame. But if you go to 60p, 60 frames per second, it drops you down to an APS-C size. And I'm going like, no way! How can anybody in their right mind do that? So I said, okay, the camera's out. Not interested anymore in that camera. And then I said, you know, I blame people for doing that. They just decide and they don't do a little testing to see how it works. So I took my Canon R6, not the R6 Mark II, and on that one you can actually crop down if you choose to voluntarily. So I set up the 60p in the R6 Mark II, I'm sorry, the R6 Mark I, in a crop mode. And then I used the 24p in the full frame mode. And it worked and offered me no problem. And I was a little bit surprised, like, how could I possibly be wrong? I'm never wrong. I'm always right. So how can I be wrong? It doesn't compute. If I thought that was a bad thing, surely it must be a bad thing. Don't call me Shirley. So anyway, that overcame that problem. And I wound up buying this camera. Okay, so let's get back to, people came in here to say hi to me. Okay, Jeff is because of the disability that he's got to live with. He finds the pool 2 times a week doing the psychotherapy that he needs, and that has helped me in walking since I started 2 years ago. I could not walk 50 meters. Now I can now walk up to 300 meters. So swimming is a great exercise because your body floats, which is different than on a treadmill, which your body is basically in the same mode if I were to walk from here to your house. Okay? Now, if I were to swim from here to your house, chances are I could swim farther, because if you need to relax, you just spread it out. So what Jeff is saying is very true. So Kyle is here. How you doing, buddy? I love you, Kyle. And he's saying, no, you won't. No, you won't. Well, it's so long ago, I can't remember what we were talking about, okay? So I'm sure you're answering something that I said, which, by the way, brings me to a point. Now, this means everybody, okay? When you guys participate, you need to learn this. I need to learn this, so I'm not picking on you, okay? When you participate in a live stream and the guy is long-winded, like me, okay, when you make a comment, make it all-inclusive. Make it complete. So like Kyle just said, no, you won't. So the proper, I'm not picking on you, Kyle. I'm teaching everybody else a lesson, okay? You should include the framework of what you're referring to, okay? Because you think like, well, what do you care, Peter? Well, because you know what? You wind up feeling a little bit embarrassed. He doesn't know what I'm talking about. How's that possible? And it happens to me when I go and I'm in one of like Sly's live stream, and I'll be responding to something she's talking about, but she doesn't get to it for 10 minutes. And then she'll go like, okay, all right. And either you do one of two things. Either you fake it. Okay, so here's Kyle. Okay, Kyle, I'm not picking on you again. I love you, buddy. Okay, so either I'm going to fake it and go, no, you won't. And I'm going to, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. I'm faking a laugh. All right. Or I'm going to do the, no, you won't. I just don't know. No, I won't what? Okay. So this is something that you probably never even thought of. Okay. And I didn't think about it until I'm on both ends of the stick. So now I don't know what Kyle was talking about. And either I have to fake it and try to act like I know what he was talking about, or I have to just surrender. Don't know what you're talking about. Okay. So that is no charge for that lesson. So if you're going to write something, put it in the right framework, like they say, in context. Okay, our preacher uses that a lot. You can't just take a Bible verse out of context and start hammering somebody over the head with that Bible verse. Okay, it says Jesus wept. You didn't weep today. You didn't cry today. Bam, you're a bad Christian. Now that's out of context. Okay, so put the context in your answers, because you're having a conversation in here with me or the guy you're watching. But by the time the guy like me that talks a lot, my mind has gone through so many different things, I can't possibly imagine what the hell I was talking about. Okay? So that is a no-charge lesson. Jim Monday, he's in Raleigh. You heading out? You going bye-bye? Are you going to drive out? Are you staying home? Also, my next question. Now, tell me what I'm asking when you answer it, okay? Do you have one more week left? Or are we in the transition from, being in one house to another house? You know what I'm talking about, right? Okay. So I'm just kind of curious because I'm losing track of the weeks. So what are we in? This is July 16th. So we've gone through half of the month of July. Hello? Does anybody get the feeling that this year is going a little bit fast? Okay. So hi, Jim. I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for chatting with me. Jeff, Peter, question. Good. This is going to be in context. When shooting in full 4K on the R6, if I downsize to 1080 to save in space, would the quality be a little better shooting in 1080 instead of 4K? Absolutely not. It's kind of like asking me, I'm going to liken it like this. Okay, that doesn't mean it's tit for tat. Okay. It means I'm going to liken it for you, meaning I'm going to give you an example. 4K would be like shooting RAW, and 1080 would be like shooting JPEG. All right? So in 1080, there's stuff that's just not recoverable. There's stuff that's just not there. It's just not there. It's gone. Okay? And not that it was not there before, it's just gone. So 4K is your equivalent of shooting RAW. Now, if it's important that you shoot RAW, because I could be talking to you and you could be a JPEG shooter. And if you're a JPEG shooter, you're going to go like, Peter, I shoot in JPEG all the time and I'm just fine. Okay, that's no problem. All right, honestly. I'm not trying to start a war. I'm just trying to liken it why I shoot 4K, even if I know for a fact that this is going to get put out as a 1080, because that's the equivalent of my RAW file. It's got 4 times, not double, but it's got 4 times the information that the 1080 has. Okay? So now there's some places on the Canon R6 where you don't have a choice. So if you want to shoot a high frame rate, like 120 to slow it down, you have to shoot in 1080. You don't have the choice not to. So you would have to switch the camera to 1080, do your slow motion, and then go back to 4K. However, I did learn something very, very interesting, and that is you could successfully slow down 60p to slow motion to look as good as and as slow as 120. Okay? You slow it down to what they call 40%. So you're actually slowing it down 60%. But here's the catch. You actually have to be on a 24p or frames per second timeline to do that. So you could take a 60p or 60 frames per second and put it on a 24 frames per second timeline, meaning everything else you shot had to be in 24 frames per second, okay, not 30. And then you could slow it down 2 ways, either down to 80%, meaning a 20% slowdown, or down to 40%, which means a 60% slowdown. They both work. One just makes it smooth like butter, and that's the 80%, and the other makes it look so slow motion that it's crazy, okay? So you could do that to save, a little space. So I hope I answered your... I try to over-answer if it's possible, so I apologize for you guys that I am over-answering. So Scotty says, I bought a high-speed scanner through B&H last week using your link on Peter Gregg. Thank you, Scotty. And that's a perfect segue for me to say to you guys, okay, when you use my links, thank you very much. I really mean that, because when you use my links, they're in the description below, okay? It does 2 things for me. Number 1, it gives me a commission. So Scotty bought a high-speed scanner. He bought it at B&H, okay? So I have links for B&H and for ADORAMA. By the way, ADORAMA pays me 6% commission when you buy through the links for ADORAMA. It says howl in the link. You know what the owl does? He howls. I made that mistake once, and I'll never live it down. So that's how you know it'll be an ADORAMA link, okay? And the B&H link say BH or something like that, all right? So ADORAMA pays me up to 6%, 5 and 6%, okay? B&H pays me between 1 and 2%. Now, B&H and ADORAMA are 2 brothers. They're both in New York, okay? The one brother broke off from the rest of the family and started his own camera store called ADORAMA. And by the way, he just died a couple of months ago. So it's very similar policies, service, everything, okay? So it was a little weird when I first started buying at ADORAMA instead of B&H, because I've been buying at B&H forever, okay? And I'm going to I bought something from ADORAMA, and it just felt weird. I should be shopping at B&H. But it was like no difference, none whatsoever. So now B&H has 10 times the size of a building. They basically got their own building, which ADORAMA is a good size store in New York, but it's nowhere the size physically. Okay, but they don't use the stores as warehouses because the rent in New York City is crazy. So they got a warehouse somewhere where the rent is way lower. Okay, and that includes both of them. So if you guys are going to buy something, please use my links. Can I ask it any nicer than that? All right. Use my links. It gives a commission. That's how there's income that comes in on this and any other channel. Okay, because YouTube pays you squat, basically, pennies. So even people that have a million subscribers, you know, they might put out a video and get 20,000 views. That video might be paying them $20. So it's the affiliate links that's underneath, number one. Okay, and those are used two ways. If you click on it and you buy something, I get a commission. So if you, anybody that's watching, if you're YouTube minded and you go like, I want a YouTube channel or I have one, how do I monetize it? Okay. Here's a warning. I'm going to launch into a little bit of a lesson on YouTube here. So to go get yourself a cup of coffee. All right. So when you go on YouTube, it's kind of like a boy growing up, going from boy to puberty to manhood. Okay, so as a boy, you're looking at the big adult men and you go, I want to be like that. The first one is your dad. I want to be like my dad. Okay, or you might have an older brother. So you start with YouTube and I want to be like so-and-so. All right, now you start growing a little bit, you hit puberty. All right, so what happens with puberty? Your mind centers and focuses on one topic. So a boy that's in puberty, guess what's on his mind? Guess again. Okay, that's what's on his mind. Okay, so same thing happens. You hit puberty in YouTube. I'm giving you a diagram so you could leave and you could still understand what the hell I was talking about. All right, so eventually you realize, wait, this needs to grow. This needs to, I want to be like the big men. Okay, going to grow my muscles. I'm going to start using my equipment, okay, and stuff like that. So you go through that phase. And now you're taught by everybody else that you've got to get a lot of subs, okay? You got to get people to please subscribe. And, hey, do you like this video? Then subscribe and hit the bell. You know, how many times do you hear that? Subscribe. Did you like what you saw? Subscribe and hit the bell, okay? They're in puberty stage, okay? I can't tell it to you any other way. Their mind is just like the boy is focused on sex, and sex, like location. Okay, that's real estate, all right? Well, then you start to grow up and you start to become that man, and you start to realize, wait, there's something besides people subbing to my channel, subscribers, because I'm getting some more subscribers and I want to get monetized so I can make money. And you finally get to the point where, okay, let's get it over the 1,000. Got to go over 1,000 so I can become monetized. And you get over 1,000 and you make $2. And you're going like, I can make more money cutting grass when I was 15 years old than I'm going to make with all of this stuff that I'm doing with YouTube. So you go, got to be a better way. Now you're growing into manhood. You're leaving the boy, the teenager behind, and you're going like, what does YouTube offer me? Okay? So for some of you, I'm helping you short circuit your growth and your experience. Here's how you can make money on YouTube, all right? The number one and easier flow, okay, is to actually tell your people, like I'm asking you, click on my links and you create an affiliate with B&H, with ADORAMA, with whoever you can. Just make yourself affiliate happy, okay? And then eventually, I just discovered this year. Hello, goes to show you, everyone has room for growth, okay? There are companies that handle all the affiliates for you. So there's one called Planet Howl. I got introduced to it by Simon at Ordinary Filmmaker. He called me, he says, Peter, I just signed up on Planet Howl. You got to get on there today. I'm not hanging up this phone until you go over and subscribe. I'm going like, I don't want to join another one. Peter, please Trust me. Do I have to get Liam on the phone? Liam will tell you. Liam is his little boy, and we got this connection. I mean, I'm like you know, I don't know. I'm his big brother or something. So I said, okay, I'll do it. Okay, so I did. And wow, what a difference. So with my links through Planet Howl, jot this down, or you're going to have to come all the way through here to find what the hell he said at an hour. How long have I been on now? An hour and 40 minutes, okay? Just write it down. It'll save you a lot of trouble. Get yourself in with a company like Planet Howl. There's another one called Impact. Okay, there's a couple of more. Okay, now what these guys do is they go to someone like ADORAMA and say, we're going to funnel a lot more links to you. We want a higher commission. Okay, so if I were to sign up for an affiliate program with B&H, they pay between 1% and 2%. If I sign up with Amazon, they pay 1% to 2%. There's a few stragglers here and there that they'll pay higher that they want to move out, okay, and stuff like that. If I sign up directly with ADORAMA, straight, it's 1% to 2%. They match B&H, okay? So these guys match each other. Now, ADORAMA signed up with Planet Howl. Now, through Planet Howl, I can get links to ADORAMA, B&H. Nope. Subtract that. B&H is the one straggler that won't join, okay? I can get a link to ADORAMA, Best Buy, that's what I meant to say when I said B&H, Newegg, Samsung sells stuff, right? You could buy a phone right from Samsung, all right? And a host of other companies that I can't think of all of them. So I just get what I want to talk to you about. I go to my Planet Howl account, I get a link, and I put it in the description. So now I've quadrupled the commission at ADORAMA over B&H. So what's happening here? I am becoming tuned in to getting people to click on my links, okay? And I found a new way to trick people into it. But it's not a trick because it's true. I do it myself. So if I'm tricking you, I'm tricking me, all right? You go to the damn link not to buy something, okay? And this is where I learned it. I watch a lot of landscape, not landscaping like beautification, like gardener services. They call them landscapers, okay? And these guys, like this one guy's got this string weed whacker, all right? And he's got this bar on it that he stands up straight, so you don't get that lower back pain. He stands up straight, and he's weed whacking. Well, this guy invented these bars, all right? And guess what? The guy was smart enough to make an affiliate link. So everybody and his uncle is talking about this guy's bars. And if I had a weed whacker, I would buy those bars. All they are is an extension bar. So instead of bending over and the weight is here and the motor's down there, you get this bar, you stand up straight. It's like, whoa, this is a different world. It's a whole new world, okay? So you start to funnel in on the affiliate links. Now this doesn't matter if you just have 1,000, 3,000, or 500. You don't even have to be monetized on YouTube to get into affiliate links. So like Sly and Randy that have got videos coming out, they need to be a part of, and they are, okay, I'm just giving you an example. They need to be a part of the affiliate network. Now, you start off with the companies, and then you learn about Impact, Planet Howl, and a few other ones, okay? So you start to focus in on the affiliate links. So after you do that, you start to figure like, well, this is not bad. I'm making like 100 times the money with the affiliate links that I'm making with YouTube is paying me $4 for a whole freaking video, and it did well, okay? So now you start looking for something called sponsors. A sponsor is the same thing like when you hear an ad on the radio station. They don't call them sponsors. They call them advertisers, okay? So a sponsor is going to give you money, And what you're going to give them in return is you're going to get that name in front of your crowd. So I have a crowd here, okay? And I can bring somebody's name in front of my crowd. And they'll pay me for that. It could be $50 per show. It could be $500 per show. It depends on my skill on to be able to sell sponsors, okay? So you start getting things like sponsors. And then sponsors have their own little rabbit trails, because a sponsor might be hot to put out his new machine that creates $10 bills out of $5 bills. So he wants your audience to know. So he's going to pay you where you're going to give it more than a mention, okay? So this would be a high price sponsor. And then when you're bigger, like someone like Peter McKinnon, so what does he do? Does he do anything better than I do? No, he does the same thing I do, and probably the same thing you do. But you know what he's got that I don't have and what you don't have? He's got millions of followers. And when he puts out, like Marquez Brownlee, okay, when he mentions this brush on his channel, he's going to sell a shitload of brushes. So if I was a brush company, I'd be willing to pay him thousands to please mention my brush. Okay, now we're not in that position, so just calm down, okay? So we've got subscribers. So I just set you free from marrying yourself. You're in puberty, okay? You're just discovering your sexual organs, and you're going like, I got to get subscribers. I got to get subscribers, okay? Well, there's more to it than that. The people that are watching you already, if you sell 3 or 4 items just by mentioning your affiliate link, you've blown most of the people that have 20, 30, and 40,000 subscribers. You've blown them out of the water in terms of income, in terms of money that you can make. But to make that mind shift, it's kind of like growing up from boy to teen to manhood, okay? There's a certain amount of time you have to spend as a boy. There's a certain amount of time you have to spend as a teenager. And then guess what? The rest of your life, you are a full-grown man. That doesn't mean don't act like a child. Most of us do, okay? But you got a lot more resources at your fingertips. So you get into the affiliates, and, you know, that isn't puberty. I am past puberty on my channel here, but I am now newly discovering the power of affiliate links, because with Planet Howl and with Impact, I'm getting 4 and 5 times the amount of commission. So guess what? I need to get people to use my link. So how do I do it? I ask, if you're going to buy something, please click on my link. I'm talking to you, okay? If you're curious or if you're nosy, click on the link and go read what the people are saying that actually bought that lens or bought that camera, okay? So once they click on your link, anywhere they go for the next 24 hours, let's say you click on a link because you wanted to find out about this microphone, okay? So you click on the link. It's in the description below. Use the link. Go click on the microphone, okay? All right? You see how I'm doing that? So for the next 24 hours, okay, if you happen to buy the mic, I'll make a commission. And for the next 24 hours, anywhere you go, they put a cookie, okay, in your computer. And the purpose of the cookie is not to violate your privacy. It's for them to realize that, hey, Peter Gregg is actually active in getting people to come to ADORAMA. So the guy at the big desk at ADORAMA, he's going to look down his list and he's go like, Peter Gregg brought in a lot of people to ADORAMA. Well, they didn't buy anything, but you know what? When they do, they're likely to come back. So my value in their eyes have raised, okay? So that's the step that you guys are going to be working on. And then finally, the last thing is, if you have knowledge, if you've got like a tank of understanding or wisdom and stuff like that, like my friends have been hammering me. Put out a course on photography. Put out a course on wedding photography. There's people that want to go out and start making money. They don't know where the traps are, and so on and so forth. You know, have some courses that are $50. Have a course that's $500. Have a course that's $1,000. Well, you know what? If you sell 2 courses a month, that's $500. That's $1,000. You think that YouTube is going to pay me $1,000 for the whole freaking year? Okay, but I have to give that person that's putting the $500 down on the table some good quality content. Now, a lot of people can't do that yet. Okay, so what do I have? I have from 1970, when I started in weddings and portraits, high school seniors, and product photography. There's a few years of knowledge that have grown. Things that I didn't even know I knew that I forgot that are still in there. Okay, so I'm working on a course, and that will also be something that I can do. So I can run, theoretically, a whole YouTube channel, not even be monetized, and make more money than people that are monetized. Okay? Look at Peter McKinnon. Do you think he's getting paid by YouTube? You think that's what's buying him his brand new BMW or Tesla? In my case, I like a Tesla. No. He actually is big enough where he put his name on a Pro Mist filter. So you could buy a Peter McKinnon Pro Mist filter. Do you know what a Pro Mist filter does? You don't even know what it does. But he has filters that are called the Peter McKinnon filters. So he gets a cut. Do you think he makes filters out in his garage? Seriously? No. Somebody needed his name to sell filters. Like I said, Marquise Brownlee mentions this hairbrush. A gazillion people are going to buy this hairbrush. Okay? Did you see how I worked that? I made it so I could comb up my hair a little bit. Okay? So that's what Peter McKinnon does. Now, there's others that are doing something similar in one way or another. They're trying to monetize themselves. Okay? So that is our course on why I keep asking you to use my links. It benefits me, it benefits you, because you might find out something that I never mentioned about the S52 or the Canon R6 or something, but because you're reading the comments of other people that actually bought the darn camera, and they go like, the camera doesn't float in water. Well, that's a given, but I'm trying to make an example for you. The camera doesn't float in water, and you are always in the swimming pool. So, you know, that becomes something that Peter Gregg, never said. And it never even occurred to you. But by reading the comments, you picked up on something. So when I say click on the links, yeah, it's to benefit me, but I also have in the back of my mind, it's to benefit you too. Because you're interested in a camera or a lens, and you're hot for it. You're just drooling at the mouth. So you deserve a bigger foundation of knowledge on it than I can give you, or even other YouTubers, because other YouTubers are just trying to make videos so they can get them out, okay? But what you really need is quality content. So where are you going to get quality content? You're going to get it from another guy that bought the brush. He's going to tell you the truth because he's not selling the brush. He's not selling the lens. He's not selling the microphone. He bought it. And now he's going to tell you what he doesn't like about the microphone. For real. So you're getting a wealth of knowledge that you're not going to get from YouTube content creators. Okay? All right, let's get back to the show. I'm having a good time tonight. I'm sorry. I was going to say I'm sorry for talking too much, but I'm not really sorry. I'm glad. Anybody that's sticking with me, you're actually getting something in here. So Scotty started this whole thing. I bought a high-speed scanner through B&H. Guess what? I'm going to get a commission for that. Ray is saying, Jeff, but how are you saving space if you're still shooting 4K before the downsizing? Do you mean putting 4K footage on a 1080 timeline? I didn't realize he was going to be shooting in 4K anyway. Okay? I assumed, maybe, you know what happens when you assume? I assumed he was going to switch the setting in the camera to 1080. And I'm thinking like, no, you're throwing away a lot of resolution, that's a no-no. So Woody is here. Sunday night, wowzer. Yeah, I wanted to have some fun tonight, and I figured it's better to be with my buddies, which is you guys. So I'd rather be sitting here than watching a movie. So, and I get to learn. I get to learn something. And Lewis, how you doing? Lewis, he's in here. So I'm gonna ask the same question. Are you listening to me on your earphones, or are you sitting in your house comfortable and listening to me at home, in your own home? Okay. So thanks for popping in and saying hi. Hassan is saying hi, good morning, good evening. Whatever your time zone is, he's giving you a good one, okay? I love you too, Hassan. I love you, Lewis. I love you, Woody. And guess who else I love? I love Sammy. There he is. Hi, Peter. Hi, Sam. I just wanted to spend some time with my friends. So Lewis is saying hi to everybody. And Sammy is saying hi to everybody. And Sammy is saying, wow, such a great story. What story? I think I told a few of them. Well, that's good. Sammy says, you were from New York? Sammy, everybody's from New York. Very little do I ever find somebody that was actually born in Miami or born in Atlanta. Okay. Oh, there's plenty of people born in everywhere. But if you were a gambling man, I'd put my nickel on you were born in New York, and you would probably win more times than lose. Okay. So, yeah. New York. I even have an uncle in West New York, New Jersey. So, yeah, I'm familiar with that area up there. Okay. Vasia says, by the way, Peter, I'm part Romanian, part Vlach. Greeks must know what that means. Greek officials name us Latin Greeks. Cool beans. That's pretty awesome. So, you're proof that I have an international audience. And yeah, you're the one that put it in my head how to say your name, Vasia, because I would say Vasily. Rolls off my tongue because that's a name for Bill in Greek. So if you're Bill, Billy, William, in Greek, your name is Vasily, okay? Well, Vasia taught me Vasia would be the equivalent of Vasily. Bingo! See how when you mark something into somebody's mind, they can come back to it and use that in their own knowledge? That's why I went through this little, probably poorly done, okay, thing on how to monetize yourself, what stages you're going to go through in your growth, and what you can or should be aiming towards. I hope I did somebody some good, okay? No, I'm not looking for a pat on the back. I had that thought before I launched and committed a lot of time to it. I might help somebody here. And even if it's just 2 people, 1 person, okay. Sammy says, the other day I saw your first video on the Peter Gregg channel and you were using the same mic. Yeah, it goes back. I've had this mic since I was a teenager. And I'm going to be 70 years old, okay? And the mic still does good, sounds good. It's just not in production anymore. Okay, I worked in a company. We had 5 Greggs, so I started to use Gregory. Oh, that's cool. And that is basically how I got the name Peter Gregg, okay, which is a story all in itself. So there's a culture in the Greek culture and probably others that when I have a baby, I'm expected to name my baby after my dad, my firstborn son, okay? My firstborn daughter should be named after my wife, okay? Now, it's a lot more in concrete for the boy than it is for the girl, but it's followed in both, okay? So my dad comes from a big family. I have lots of uncles and aunts, okay? So everybody, okay, that was the firstborn son, guess what? Oops, sorry. Guess what their first name is? Go ahead. Guess. Everybody named their firstborn son in my dad's family after what would be my grandfather. So it would be my dad's dad, okay, who's my grandfather. Can you do the math? Okay, carry the 1, bring the 3 to the top, and go to the next column, all right? So there's got to be like 8 Peters in our family, okay? And I'm not making fun, okay? Yeah, I know where your mind went. Okay? So there's 8 Peters in our family, okay? It'd be worse if a Greek family had a grandfather named Richard. We have so many Dicks in this family, I don't know what to do. Okay, so we started doing like way before Forrest Gump, okay? It's first and middle name. So Gregg is technically my middle name. But because I started in the 70s, when I opened my first company and I was 19 or 20, guess what? My photography company was called Peter Gregg Photography. Wow. So I got one of these really long-ass Greek names for my last name. I don't even bother using it anymore. Okay? So that's how I became Peter Gregg. So now you look at my uncles and my aunts, they all have Peters. Even my aunts have Peters, okay? So it's Peter Gregg, Peter George, Peter John, Peter Chris, Petey, okay? And I can't even think of it. I'm trying to think of family names now. I shouldn't have started. So you just prompted me to bring that out, Gregory. So yeah, so if you got 5 Greggs in the company, you could have easily come up with anything that you needed to be called. Now imagine that same thing happening in your family, but not when you're old enough to work in a company, okay? Now you're a child, so you don't have any say in the matter, okay? So I just started getting called Peter Gregg from when 2, 3 years old, from what I remember, 3, 4 years old, okay? So that's been my name in reality, okay? So Sammy says, Peter, I wanted to tell you I am working on a short film, and it looks amazing with the A7S II and the 2870. Well, that's a darn good camera. And I know you bought that camera because you told me. You told me on the phone. So I'm happy to hear that. And if you're working on a film, on a short film, you're having fun. That's the name of the game, is to be having fun. You're 18, 19 years old now, so you're finished high school. So I do know you started a school for filmmaking. So that's part of the growing up process. You have to get in line and obey the rules. Now you're in a company that's going to fine-tune your talent, your skills, and let me tell you something. Sam has some very serious skills. And speaking of serious skills, here is one right here. It is Charles. And not only is he has a lot of time under his belt on, what do you call it when you're live streaming but not tied down to a desk like I'm here. So he takes his computer, which by the way, he's got a new computer. He's got the Apple M2 MacBook Pro. So he is built up to the max. So he'll go out, he's in the Orlando area, to one of the parks, and he'll either walk around or he'll sit at a coffee shop and there's nothing. It's wireless and it's through his system. And that is a big skill set. So that is amazing. So Gregory says, good to know. And Jeff says, we're not only influenced by our parents, Peter. Growing up, we are also influenced by our grandparents. There you go. I forgot that just as well. I remember a lot in what I've seen and heard from my grandparents. Ain't that the truth? Okay. So I can actually see that in a couple of generations. My brother has kids. We call them, quote unquote, the grandkids. And the reason for that is they became central to the family, and all the kids, we don't matter no more. We became chopped chicken liver, okay? Nothing, something you wouldn't want to eat, all right? The focal point of the whole family became, quote unquote, the grandkids, All right. So, but I have seen my mother instill things in those grandkids, even though my mother has gone from 2011 to heaven, that the grandkids, she still has helped mold them. Okay. So my parents moved from New York to Miami, and I only had influence from my personal my grandmother. And my mother said that she was jealous. My mother was jealous because I wanted to be with my grandmother more than I wanted to be with my mother. And my mother is the jealous kind too. Okay. So if my grandmother was around, I wanted to be in her lap. I wanted to be in her arms. I wanted to be in her bed. My mother tried to pull me. I didn't want to be with my mother. I wanted to be with my grandmother. And I still have traits. I still have even gesticulations that I could see when I watch my own videos, that I could see my grandmother in me from my mother's side. Okay? Now, I never got to live with my grandparents from my dad's side, but we went every summer for 3 or 4 weeks. So I got hit with a month's worth of exposure. But it was at that time, I was old enough where I was more interested in having fun more than sitting with my grandmother, okay? And there, Sammy says it right there. Videos are so much fun, and which is why you and me, why we love cameras, video cameras, because it is fun. Okay, is it good with manual focus? So I'm going to answer the question that I think you're asking. Is the S52 good with manual focus? Because if you're asking me about the camera that you have, I've never had hands-on with it. But yes, the camera here is good with manual focus. As a matter of fact, Charles is sending me a 55 millimeter 1.2 Nikon lens. He's sending it to me free of charge out of the goodness of his heart. He wants to put something into the Christmas room. So he is sending me a Nikon lens and the adapter that's going to go on here. Now, guess what? It's a manual focus only, because the 55 millimeter 1.2 AIS lens, not even made anymore. So there's nothing electronic about it. So I actually have an adapter where I could put my dad's old Konica Hexanon lenses on here. And it's 100%, I'm looking around for one, I was going to try to grab one, 100% manual focus. Yes. Now the best one of all of them is the Canon system, the R6 and the R6 Mark II, and I'm assuming the R5, because even though there's no electronics in mind, somehow Canon programmed it in so that when I actually get the focus, the camera beeps. So it's actually giving me a secondary confirmation besides my own eyes. I like that, okay? But for this one, you don't get that. They don't allow that. Or they didn't build it in. I shouldn't say they don't allow it. So it's actually, you're looking at, what do they call it? Focus peaking. All right. Now, it's your eyes at this point. That's the computer. You have to determine where you are the strongest on the focus peaking. So I have this camera set up that as soon as I go to manual focus, if I have a non-electronic lens, okay, if I just tap the AF on or the shutter, just tap it, don't take the picture or the video, it'll magnify the center. Then I can tune it in so easy, much better than any rangefinder that I played with years ago when rangefinders were the hot thing, like with Leica, all right? And then don't even bother to drop it out. Take the damn picture, because something could be a moving target, okay, like a person, a child, a dog. So a moving target, as soon as you feel you've hit that focus, bam, put the shutter all the way down, okay? Sammy says the new focus menus are good. They're not only good, they're very good. So the Sony, they took one giant step forward with putting in a much better focus system, but they took another huge giant step forward with the one that I have a hard time with the name, ZVE-1 or ZV-E1, because they have a lot of E's, ZVE's, okay? That's what gets me confused easily. Now, I think if I said it 100 times a day and I was very involved in that, it would be a no-brainer. But just coming out of nowhere, okay, it's a little bit confusing. So what they added on the new ZVE1 is touch technology. So I could touch and move around all around the menus by touching here, touching there, touching for focus on my eyes. All that was not in the Sony cameras. All of that was always in the Canon cameras. And that is in this S5 Mark II. So here's my buddy David. He is 365 days of, and in his case, it's surfing. Mr. Handsome out in California, so he's 3 hours behind. Oh, we're all the way up to 11 o'clock. Golly gee whiz, Batman. We've been on over 2 hours. I've been having so much fun, it doesn't feel like that at all. Not even a little bit. And I just came on to spend some time with you. I figured 30 minutes, 50 minutes, and then, okay, I'll go have something. I always want to put something in my mouth. So I didn't realize it was so long. So David, how are you doing? I saw after the fact you went live today. Good boy. I'm proud of you. I hope you did a good job. And I love you, David. You know that, right? He's my brother. So Aaron, I haven't seen you in a while in here, but I have seen you online because, of course, I'm subscribed to you. So when you pop up videos, I will automatically go look at them. If it's something I don't really want to watch, I give it a thumbs up. And if I'm going to get up, go to the bathroom or something, I let it play through so you can watch ours. So that's how we support each other is, let's say you're going to watch this later and you're going to watch it and maybe go to sleep. Well, let it run all the way through, okay? I get, what do they call it? Watch hours. So don't just do that for me. I do that for you. So when I watch, like Randy is doing something and I might not be interested in that lens or I might not be interested in that camera body, I let it run through so he can get the watch time. Okay? And of course, give it a thumbs up. And because it's Randy, you know darn well, I'm going to probably make a comment too. Do you still have the Sony A7 Mark III? No, I sold that and bought this this Nikon that you see right there, okay? When it goes over to the Nikon, I sold the A7 Mark III to pay for this Nikon Z6. And yes, the focus system is excellent. So Sammy says, that sounds like an FX30, but it's a Panasonic. Well, the FX30 happens to be a crop frame camera. This Panasonic is a full frame camera. And so, yes, so if I had the FX30, I'd have to shoot 24p, 30p, 25p for those that are 30p, 60p. It's all crop because the FX30 is a crop sensor camera. You can't stretch that sensor any bigger. Now, with this one, the sensor is already full frame, okay? So it's shooting in full frame all the time. If I'm in video, I can invoke to make it shoot crop on purpose because it makes your lens reach out farther with less loss of quality than you zooming it in, okay? But if I go to 30 frames per second, the camera automatically switches over, 60 frames per second. If I go over to 60 frames per second, the camera automatically switches to a crop sensor. It probably can't handle all that data passing through, or it can't write it, one or the other. But I gave the camera a thumbs down because of that, honestly, until I tested my R6 and I found out, happily, I can live with a 60 frames per second in a crop mode. Wasn't a problem. I thought it was a problem. All the YouTubers telling me it's a problem. Some of them don't even have hands-on with the camera. And it's a big problem, and don't use full frame 60. Well, it sounds like it is a problem. And you know something? For some people, it is. Okay? I'm just saying I found out by following my own advice, which I normally don't do. Okay? And I found out surprisingly and wound up with the camera. Okay? So Jeff says, for someone like myself who only shot Canon, I found the ergonomics on Canon to be great and easy to navigate. Where I found the Sony to be harder to navigate, Sony is a good camera. Well, that's a good summary, okay? The Canon ergonomics and the Nikon, okay, are very close to each other because they are the rivals of the football team. So whenever you went to high school, you had your football team had a natural rival. So East High School, their biggest rival would always be West High School. So they would play North High School, South High School, the Ocean High School, New York High School. But when the game between East High School and West High School came, that was the rival game. Okay? So Nikon and Canon have always been there like that. They go back to where one of them was actually started by making the lenses for the other one. They didn't make any lenses, and I don't remember the history that well. Okay? So that's the way they started. So you and I could complain and moan about Canon not having a blue shutter button. Sony gives us a blue shutter button. Everybody gives us a blue shutter button, but Canon will not give us a blue shutter button. And every YouTuber in the world is saying, we want a blue shutter. Why doesn't Canon respond and give us a blue shutter button? And here's how it works. As soon as Nikon, their biggest rival, puts a blue shutter button, it bypasses all of our bitching and moaning, all of our complaining, and the next camera that comes out, Canon has a blue shutter button. You got it? So I could complain until my ears turned, what do they turn? Red, okay, or hot, that I wanted 4K in the Canon. They wouldn't put it in. I even made up a song. No 4K for you, and no 4K for you, and no 4K, no 4K, no 4K for you or me. Ah, no 4K for you, and no 4K for me. No 4K and no 4K and no 4K for you or me. So, guess who put in 4K in their cameras? Guess. Go ahead. Nikon. Guess what the next Canon camera had? 4K. So you see how, that's why B&H and ADORAMA are brothers. So B&H or ADORAMA might not carry the Usilic Peter Gregg best camera ever. And yet everybody wants to buy the Peter Gregg camera. ADORAMA picks up the Peter Gregg camera. Guess what's the next camera that's going to be on the website for B&H? Because the brother did it, the other one will do it. And that's how photography has run for the longest time. It still runs that way, okay? So Aaron is saying, real expensive. Oh, I can't remember what I was talking about, Aaron, but everything you and I do, especially you, is real expensive. So Aaron is talking to Sammy, and Sammy is answering Aaron. And Roy finally woke up. What is wrong with you? What are you, sleeping over there? Well, over there it's already Monday. Okay, so he's actually into his work day. So since it's 11, it would be like 2 o'clock over there. Maybe 1 o'clock. So maybe he's on lunch or who knows what. But hi, Roy. How you doing, buddy? Just in here having a good time. Nothing special going on. Just enjoying you and me. Bop, 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 bop. And David says, I hope everybody went to church today. If you didn't, you're in the right place. Are you saying, David, that I just can't help but talk about Jesus all the time? Well, he's right. Okay. The only thing that I add to it is that I'm respectful. I'll tell you how I feel, and I'll tell you what I think the Bible says, but I don't disrespect, because you could have Jewish people here, you can have Islamic people here, you could have people from Rome. The Pope could be watching right now. The Pope, God could have struck him, and the Pope it just can't get enough about cameras. So he figures, who's the best person to watch? It would be a Peter. He's Peter, the Bishop of Rome. Get it? So the Pope could be watching. So you think the Pope and I agree on everything? Hell no. Well, that's not the right place to use that word. I apologize, Popey. I didn't mean it that way. But I mean no disrespect for any, even atheists. Atheists don't believe in anything. Or agnostics. They believe in themselves. Okay? So if you believe in yourself, there's so many jokes I could add right there, but I'm going to be a good boy. Okay? All right. You know what I need? I need a little liquid on my throat. That vodka is amazing. Or is it gin? I better take another taste. It's gin. It's not vodka. By the way, I don't drink. So it's water. The only thing that's different about this water is this is actually distilled water. So I've had people get irate. No, my God, you're going to kill yourself. Distilled water's got no minerals in it. All taken care of. You could relax. You're only saying that because you love me, okay? If you didn't love me, you'd just shoot me the bird. I just said something I shouldn't have said. She didn't wake up. She's still in the rocking chair. And she's still quiet. I almost got into a lot of trouble. What? What'd you say? I wasn't talking about anything, Mabel. I wasn't whispering. I was drinking some water, sweetie pie. I was just drinking some water. And I can't drink and talk at the same time, sweetie pie. I wasn't talking about your fat butt. Don't you get up out of that chair, girl. You sit your fat butt right back down. Sit. You sit right back down in that chair, Mabel. Don't you dare get up. Now, fall asleep. I have a live show going on. There's a lot of my friends here. Now, you be quiet, okay? And enjoy your nap. She just shot me a bird. Can you imagine that woman shooting me a bird? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Okay, back to the show. Roy says Nikon allows power from the USB, except the Z8 has two. Count them, not one, but two USB ports. One for power and one for connecting data. But I'll tell you something, Roy. Up until the Z8, it would trickle power out of the Z7 Mark II, the Z6 Mark II, my own Z6. It would pull and draw its power, but it would power down. Maybe for a heat thing, who knows? But on the Z8, you could power that entire camera all through the 2 or 3 days that the rapture sequence might take, okay, with the return of Jesus, and you would not have to change your battery. And that's new on the Z8. I did some studying, young man. I certainly did. This pillow is moving. Yes, the year is going so fast. And coming from an 18-year-old, that's saying a lot. So that is good. Bop, bop, bop. Roy says, I've lost even one more day. It's July 17th. Let me see. I'm still on the 16th. So I have another 35 minutes to go. I didn't say I was going to stay that way, but I don't know. You don't know, and I don't know. We don't know. We don't know. Roy says, I think he means shooting in 4K and downsizing using 1080p direct. Okay, I'm not going to pick on you, Roy. I'm just going to try to understand. I think he means shooting in 4K and downsizing or using 1080p direct. Okay, so that's where the question is. Okay, that's what whoosh right over my head. Okay, so it's far superior to shoot in 4K on any camera. There is no camera, zero, none. Now you might find them argumentative words, okay, that it's better for you to shoot in 1080. Unless like maybe something like the C100, which is a Canon, the Canon C100 was actually internally shooting 4K, but outputting only 1080. So you were taking the 4K, and it's a video-only camera, by the way, Jeff. So it's not a choice, okay? But it would only record or output in 1080, okay? So that is a possibility. So thanks, Roy, for helping me to understand that question. So don't shoot in 1080. Shoot in 4K if you can, okay? And then buy an extra hard drive. There's a link to Newegg in the description below. And guess what? It's got an external SanDisk 2 terabyte hard drive that I'm actually thinking of possibly getting one day when I grow up. I want to be like Roy. I want to have external hard drives everywhere. Okay, Jim. He's entering transition week. Last day at the old gig was Friday, starting the new one on Monday, July 24th. Well, that's not tomorrow, okay? My birthday. Happy birthday to Jim Monday. Jim Monday, my favorite Jim. Happy birthday, Jim Monday. Happy birthday to you. So that means July is Jim Monday birthday month. Doing some studying for my certifications while I am off. So you basically have what do they call that in college when you take a year off and come back on? There's the word. Oh my God, I can't think of that word. I can't believe it. You've got to be kidding me. It's got to be because I'm so young. It's got to be. Because I know us older guys, we know those words. Different cameras downsize to 1080 in different ways. Well, that's true. And then he's going to tell you how. Okay, so that's old news probably for most people in here. They're much farther educated. Does B&H have a bed to rent there? No, but honestly, sometimes I wish they would. Because if I went to New York, and you know that's not a bad idea, Roy. Let's think this through. So people might want to fly in and buy stuff from B&H. They should have guest rooms. If I flew in to spend some time with you, Roy, you got a guest room for me? No? Well, better get started building one. Well, one of the kids can bunk in with the other kid. Okay. Well, if you came here, you could stay at my house. Okay. So that's a pretty good idea. I like that. So they could take one of their dormant floors. So you could fly in, and as long as you spend more than $1,000, you get a free room for the night. And they'd even have, well, they're Jewish, so they wouldn't give you free Danish. Jewish Danish, oh my God, that is so good. But they're big, and they're well made. Up. So Sammy was saying, I think it would be fun to get a job at B&H. Sammy, absolutely. So Roy is talking to Sammy. Jeff is saying, okay, let's see. I mean, if I shoot C-Log and in 4K, saved at 1080, would the quality be better than just shooting in 1080? You're still asking the question in a way that can be confusing. Now, I don't know if you're doing that as a joke, but I don't think so. Okay, so what you need to say is something like this. I mean, if I shoot in C-Log and in 4K, save at 1080. I don't think that's possible. I think if you shoot in log, I think that my camera might force you to go to 4K, but you might be able to shoot in C-Log directly at 1080. So you need to be shooting at 4K regardless of C-Log or no C-Log. I can't think of any instance where I would say shoot in 1080. Save the space. It's going to be a lot easier for editing. It's going to be a lot easier on how much space it takes. You're throwing away your raw file. And if that's okay with you, then you can do that. Okay? So I don't think you can shoot in 1080 and in log. I think, as a matter of fact, it forces you, when you go to log, if I'm not mistaken, to actually shoot in H.265 on the R6. Just thinking out loud. Could be wrong, okay? Now, if I had the camera in hand, I could tell you in a heartbeat. But I just changed too much stuff on too many cameras to tell you. So Roy is talking to Jeff. Okay, now to give you an example of what I'm saying, Jeff, just so you don't think, oh, that's your opinion, he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. When they went from the Canon 80D to the Canon 90D, okay, a lot of people were lamenting. They were crying like they were at a funeral because the 90D took away all I as a recording format. So if you were shooting 1080 on the 80D camera, okay, you would want to shoot in all I because it gave you a better picture, or a somewhat better picture. They took the all I out of the 80D. However, they put 4K in to the 90D. So is it better to have 4K or have 1080 all I? Well, anybody that would take 1080 all I over the 4K basically didn't know what they were doing, okay? But you don't have that choice anymore. It's either 1080 in the 90D, regular 1080, or 4K, which wipes the floor with, in terms of quality, with 1080 all I. So any 4K is going to be better than any 1080 at all I. I'm not even talking about 1080 that's not all I. That hasn't even entered into the picture. Okay? I think I might have helped answer the question there. So Jeff and Roy are going back and forth, and Sammy is joining in, and Roy is joining in with Sammy. There's Roy's. I'm still hoping to grow up one day. Done plenty of growing out. Yes, I used to joke, Roy. I didn't go through puberty. I went right past puberty, straight to poverty. I find that a funny joke. And people would just stand there and just look at me. What can I tell you? Roy says his computer rejects cookies. It must be on a diet. Yes. So knowledge is the treasure you take with you. Do you talk like this to your kids? Or when your kids see you, do they run the other way? Now, if your kids see you and run the other way, we might have a hint as to why. I love you, Roy. I love you so much. You're just so much fun. Jeff says, I use Premiere Pro and only done basic edits in auto in 1080, so C-Log will be a new thing to me. So that's why I ask if in 4K and C-Log would be the quality is better in 1080 than if I just shoot in 1080. Okay, so I think I answered that. You want me to answer it again? 4K is always better. Doesn't matter where, what, how, who, or when. Then I introduced the question. Can you shoot in 4K in 1080 on the Canon? I remember I remember going to C-Log 3, I think, on the R6, and it forced me to switch into H.265 in 4K. Bob is here. Bobby, oh, Bob is here. Does the Peter McKinnon brush come in blue? I don't know. I don't know anything about his brush, his filters. I don't follow him. He's got his own following, and I follow the people that I go and follow. Nothing against the man. He's got my same first name. That means he's probably cool. But I don't follow him at all. I was looking at some filters or something, and then that's how I came across the Peter McKinnon filter. But somebody, Gerald Undone, did a video on the filters, and the Peter McKinnon filter was included in one of those as one of the filters that he was talking about. So Sammy says, "You're one of my buddies." Thank you, Sammy. I consider you like my little brother, honestly. I'll get protective over you just like that. Somebody says something bad about you, I'll slap him down. Bob says it's Sunday night. Good to see you, Peter. Oh, it's a Sunday night treat. Did you have ice cream? When you say the word treat, better be pudding, cookies, or ice cream. I am not a treat. But you know what is a treat? You coming in and saying hi. Did you see how smooth I can be? Right, Bob? Thank you for coming in and saying hi. Stay for a while. So, the wow, it was a wow, the great story about the Christmas room. People like to hear that story. Like, how in the hell did you wind up having a Christmas room for so many years? So, people, YouTube, that's another part of YouTube besides the growing up part that I said, okay? People are there for the storytelling. You know, just facts, to read facts. If people follow you just for the facts, they'll move on to the next guy. They'll drop you like a hot potato. There was no personal involvement. They just came to get the recipe, and I'm out of here, okay? So you want to grow with people that actually have a little bit of an attachment to you. So, do you ever visit up here? You're up. I'm down. The equator is down. The North Pole is up. So if I am correct, you're in New York. No, New Jersey. So New Jersey is up here. Way up here. So Florida is down, down, heading towards the South Pole, actually. So I don't get out and about much. I used to travel. I used to fly. I've been to the top of both of the Trade World Center. One's got a restaurant on the top, and the other one's got just like an outlook, and it's no longer there. I've been to the Empire State Building. I've been to San Diego, San Francisco. I went to some of the shows. What's that? Night Court. I went to Night Court. I went to that show at Elliott Gould, ER. And, you know, you get to go in. You get a free pass, and you get to go in. So I've been all over, and then it stopped. Hard. A hard, cold stop. No traveling. I think I put 1,000 miles on my car in the last 5 years. So when my parents got sick or when I got sick, all of it stopped. So Jeff is talking to Ray. Sammy is saying Peter, question mark. 8 Peters. I said that. I knew, Sammy. I knew. Boys and their toys? There's a hidden meaning there. So Roy is talking to Jeff. Sammy said, I like that Richard joke. Yeah, you got that one, right? I did say what you call Richard Short because that's a little bit... I get a little bit over the line, but I don't want to go over the line too far. Okay. So I'm glad you got it, Richard. Oh, wait, that's not good because I heard, I might not be correct. You know, the girl version of a BITCH is called a Karen. So I did ask on one of these shows, what is the male version of a BITCH? And I was told by two people that it's Richard. Now, I never heard that before, so I got to be careful I'm not saying something. My wife's maiden name is Lefteriotis. Lefteriotis. I think she only married me to shorten her name. So let's make sure I said that right. Lefteria is one of a Greek name. So Lefteria without an ia at the end, it's got an eo. Okay, so Lefteriotis. Now, when you say this, it's not this, it's this. So it's Lefteriotis.
Julian or Julian Perez.
All right, so Julian is actually calling me. I'll call him after. I told him he needs to check and see if I'm live before he calls me. So he probably is like, oh, he must be live. Hi, Julian. How you doing, big boy? I love Julian. Julian's like my own son. And I got a lot of those, don't I? So, but I'm not normally live on Sunday night at 20 minutes to 12. So it's not his fault, okay? So, but I don't think I want to have a conversation right now on the live thing, on the live show. So Jeff is talking to Roy. Hey, Roy, I'm with you. I need to grow up as I'm growing out. We all grow out. Roy says growing up is so overrated. Can you put that on a bumper sticker? Growing up is so overrated. I act like a kid where even at my age, people still tell me, why don't you grow up? Okay? And I'm thinking like, hell no, I ain't going to grow up. So, Roy, my computer, oh, he's talking to Roy, will handle 4K without struggling. Good. Then you got it made. 4K for you, 4K for me. Woody says, hi, Roy. I'm about live streamed out for a while. Up, I think someone's going to bed. I think Woody is going to go to bed. Okay. Did my computer freeze? Nope, there it goes. I sit down for an edit on the computer and get distracted by a live stream. Well, whose live stream does that? Wait, I lost it. Oh, Roy, I sit down for an edit on the computer and get distracted by a live stream. Well, I'm glad it's better than getting distracted while you're on the toilet. At least it gives me a little class. Okay. So Roy says, that's a lot of P's. Yep, you got to put an S at the end of that. P apostrophe S. Because now you're talking about urine. So that's a lot of pee-pee. Taking you back a few years, huh? So Roy says, I still don't understand sports. Well, here is how sports work. A boy grows up to be a man. And you know that whole sequence. Now, one boy has to prove to the other boy he's bigger, stronger, and more powerful than the other one. So they beat each other up. They beat the shit out of each other, and they call that sports. And, of course, there's always a goal. You've got to make a touchdown, a basket, a goal. You've got to pin the other guy. You've got to make more points. I don't even know what you call it with tennis, but tennis is the same thing. So, Fuddy's saying, hi from Ohio. Well, actually, you got a hi in the middle of the O's. So, hi from Ohio. You made a joke. You made a joke. Hi from Ohio. Good for you. Sammy says, yes. Vasia says, we remember the number 4 song. We adapted it and sing in our house. My wife and daughter, too. You're the No 4K song. Okay, now I got it. I was thinking the number 4 song. N with capital N with an O means number. So no would be little n and little o, but you're not with the American language. So it looked like number 4. So if I said number 32, I would put capital N-O. And if I was being proper, I'd put a period, but I'm not proper. 32, okay? So we remember the no for K for you, and no for K for you. No for K vacía, no for K vacía, no for K for you or me. So, boy, you've been around a long time. You've been around a long time. Ba, 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 ba. I don't know what 1320, that's a time code. I don't stop for lunch. Oh, so it's 3. Take the 3, subtract 2. It's automatically subtract 2. So it's 1:20 here. Okay? That's how I learned to handle military time. So if I say it's 18:39, what time is it? Take the 8, subtract 2, and that's 6. So it's 6:39. You can do that with any military time. Just subtract 2 from the second column, because if you do it to the first column, you're screwed up. Okay. So Jeff is talking to Roy. Roy is talking to Jeff. Boy, you guys need to get a room. No, you need to get a channel. No, stay here. I want you here. Sammy says another 35 minutes with Peter. No, 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 no. Bop, bop, bop. When powered down, most Nikons, like the Z6, charge the battery. Yeah, you know the S52 that we're watching right now. When I turn it on, there's a red light on the top of the camera. Thank you for putting it on top instead of on the side or on the bottom or inside the door, which so many damn cameras do. The red light goes on and it'll charge. But you want to know something that's weird? The red charge light on this camera hardly stays on. So when I turn it off, within a minute or so, the red light is off. So it's not actually subtracting it. So Jim says sabbatical. No, that's not it. A sabbatical is a sabbatical, and I know what a sabbatical is. But there's something that they call a year between when you leave high school and when you start college. I want to say it's called a jump year, but I'm not sure. I think it would sound a lot more familiar to me than that. But a sabbatical is like I could take a sabbatical here. That means I'm going to leave for 6 months and come back. I'm taking a sabbatical. Okay? So I know what you're saying, but that wasn't the word I'm looking for. So who was it? There's a pair of twins, okay, and they got into a big fight with their father, and they are big-time YouTubers. No, they were medium-time YouTubers, and their father was 100% against them taking a jump year. Until I get the right word, I'll use that. And so they convinced him that after the year off from school, if they weren't successful by that year, they would drop YouTube completely. So they were kind of like bargaining with their dad that we'll go 100% into engineering or being a doctor or something if after 1 year. Now they became huge in YouTube, so they never went back to school. Okay, maybe they did after they became huge, but I mean 4, 5, 6 million subscribers. I don't remember their names, but they are twins, and they're clean, meaning they're not into dirty videos and stuff. So Funny Fest is saying, truly wishing you all the best, Jim. Yep, that was very nice of you, Fun. That was very nice of you. So Roy says, I got a guest suite. Where's the rest of that sentence? I got a guest suite for you, Peter. Where's the rest of that sentence? So he does have a guest suite. Thank you, Roy. Thanks for offering. So Jim is saying thank you to Funnel Fest. So Roy is saying, Gerald Dunn is also great for advice. Yes, he's excellent for advice. I watched Gerald Dunn. I was well, let me be careful how I phrase this. When Gerald Undone was very small, I tried to do a lot of encouraging and get people to go over there so he can get his channel up and higher. So Roy says, and I'm down under. Bop, 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 bop. Roy, you need to behave yourself. Short Richard is unfortunate. So I'm just going to leave that alone. Peter, I have inspired to make a short film for the festival while watching you tonight. I don't know why, but you do. I inspire you, Sammy? Thank you. I get a hug for that. I get it. I want my hugs. Okay? It's just something I want. So Roy says, distracted is better than work. That's another. Roy, you are a bumper sticker machine. Distracted is better than work. I could probably sell 1,000 of those bumper stickers at $1 a piece. We just bought the lens. So yeah, we're still saving up for the lens. Sammy says, I've been watching for 2 hours and I want to stay until 12 p.m. I don't even know what time it is. So we only got 10 minutes to go. So knowing me, all I have to do is take a drink of water or gin. Was this gin or vodka? I don't remember which lie I told. That's the trouble with lying. Many times you can't remember what lie you told, and when you come back, you get caught in that lie. And my hair is flaking out. Oh, that gin hits the spot. Where's Dean Martin? Hey, Dino, let's have a drink. He's my buddy, you know. Oh, I forgot. He died. He's one of my favorite singers, so I'm not being disrespectful. So where did I leave? I was inspiring Sam. Hey, Sam, how's Joey? What did he do today? Did you even see him? Probably not. It's Sunday. You guys need to go out for a ride. Peter doesn't know it, but the 35-minute comment was 35 minutes ago. Sammy nailed me. He got me good. The difference is better than postage to Australia. Boy, you're saying something else there, too. Yes, yes, yes. Postage stamps, they can be used. And if you don't know what I'm saying, then I got you. I do. Gap year. Thank you. It's the gap year. I'm not doing that. Right. Thank you, Sammy. It's the gap year, the gap year, the gap year, the gap year. Bop, 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 bop. So, thank you, Sammy. I couldn't, for the life of me, think of the word. So, if you finish high school, just a general FYI, okay, and you take a year off before you go to college, that's called a gap year, okay? I said it was a jump year, but it's a gap year because there's going to be a gap in your continuing education. So they took a gap year. Thank you, Sammy. Thank you, Sammy. So Jim says, red shirt? You don't like my red shirt? Or maybe the Panasonic or the Nikon. This is a red shirt. You didn't know this was a red shirt? So what do you mean with the red shirt? What's the question mark? The red shirt's hanging. I got to wear the other shirts besides just the red one. So I figured I'm going to wear my least favorite shirt. And I put it on. And I didn't like it so much, I took it off. And I switched to this shirt. Now, I like this shirt. It's a nice shirt. Plus, well, you're not on a big enough angle right now. It's one of the few shirts I have in here because I lost so much weight that it's not a freaking dress. Because if I put on some of the other shirts, it looks like I could put another person in here with me. So you'll see me and Sammy doing the monkey walk down New York City, okay? Hey, hey, we're the monkeys. Okay, so gap year, red shirt. So you had a great show tonight. Yes, yes, you do. Thank you, Sam. Coming from you, that means a lot. Because you definitely put out lots of videos and shorts. I don't wear shorts. Not those kind. I'm talking about shorts, YouTube shorts. We sometimes have to have a break year before university. No, it's called a gap year. Sammy nailed it right smack on the head. Joey was at the beach. Well, he's going to get some vitamin D. Sammy says, I'm going straight to college. Now, parents usually rebel, okay, if you don't leave high school and they want you to go to college. But this gap year developed over time. So some kids have developed what's called a gap year, and they try to talk their parents into letting them do things that are fun while they're still young. I could still travel. So that was one of the ways. What was the twins' name? Where they convinced their parents is they were going to trek across Europe. Oh, by the way, they're over in Europe. And they were going to go across Europe by car, and they would be getting an education. And if we didn't come back and be successful, that we would give up YouTube. And their parents bought it, and they did a gap year, and they just blew up into being more popular than sliced bread. So Sammy, I already said that. He's going straight to college, so he's not doing a gap year. But he's going into a college that is going to be more fun than if he had a gap year. Because Sammy loves cameras. He loves what he's doing when he shoots videos and films. So he's cheating. Sammy, you're cheating. I finished high school. In less than 5 weeks, I go back to school, and it is film school. We should give a round of applause to Sammy for his guys, us older guys, we have to encourage the younger guys. That's what our lot in life is. We learn stuff. We're supposed to encourage and love and make the younger guys feel safe because they are button heads with the world. So they need a safe place that they can come, that they're not going to get beat up, because that's all people want to do is beat the shit out of you, okay? Take your money, make you bend to the other person's wishes. So that's why God invented grandpas. So you have a safe place. You can talk about anything you want, and it's always safe. So Sammy says, I have some funny jokes. And Woody says, red shirt was a reference to your gap year. We all need to expand our comments when you run long. Now you got it. I don't know how long you've been in the show, but I gave a whole lesson on making comments to include the context. Because like Sammy said, it was 35 minutes after he said his comment that I finally got around to it. By then, I'm sorry, but I, honest to God, don't remember what the H.E. Hubble copy sticks I was talking about. So when you make your comment, okay, it would be appreciative to me if you would put a little context as to what you're talking about. So you could do it like Roy, where he does it in a funny way, or you could do it just straightforward, okay? Like pertaining to blue shutter buttons, I've always had a green one all my life, and I hate blue shutter buttons. So I would remember that I spoke about blue shutter buttons because they're basically stupid, okay? I was just making a story, all right? But let's say I was talking about something serious, and then you answered, yeah, I like that better than 1080p. Like a deer caught in the headlights. I don't know what you're talking about. So I'm going to do this. I think you're right. I didn't have a clue what you were talking about. I was called faking it. You know, you guys got to have wives? Faking it, okay? Or you just come right out and say, I really don't know what you're talking about. I really don't, okay? And then the person kind of feels bad. That's what's wrong with it. Because I've been on the receiving end of that. I've been in live shows where I did exactly what I just told you. And I feel bad for making my comment. And the guy or the girl, like Sly, I did that to her a few times. She doesn't know what I'm talking about. So it makes me feel bad that I did that. Okay? Now, if you're one of those guys where I don't give a damn, okay. I got to come back with, I don't give a damn back at you. All right. So Sammy says, I just have to play with the toys. And Sammy has so much fun with the equipment. Sammy, the story goes like this. Sammy went over to B&H to buy something. And his parents had to put out a police report because they haven't heard from Sammy in 3 weeks. What happened is Sammy went to B&H and he just moved in. I'm going to live here forever. Okay, so Sammy got into B&H and that's it. Toy after toy after toy. And then when he got tired, he saw the Sony what? Oh, I have to play with that. I mean, with Sammy, he would be like in prison, but a good prison, if you put him in B&H. And that's why he wants to get a job there. He's going to get paid for being in prison. That's awesome, Sammy. All right, so Sammy just got to play with the toys. Roy said, I had a gap year to save for university. Oh, that's true. I didn't think of that. But most kids these days, their parents are paying. Also, I was only 15. And I didn't like getting beat up by the 19 to 20-year-olds. That's not going to fly, Roy. You're trying to tell me you're a brain. No, Roy. That one's not going to fly. Sorry, I was 15. Make it believable. Okay, I was 17. Okay, you would have caught me on that. Oh, he graduated early. Okay, so you overdid it. You overdid it. Yes, sirree. It's making me laugh. Can you tell? You need a context clue in your comments. I think you need a disclaimer. Yeah. I'm Peter Gregg. That's my disclaimer, okay? So Sammy says, fake it till you make it. That is used so many places, Sammy. You fake it till you make it. So if I had to teach a course on plumbing, I would go in and I would fake it until this is a pipe. The pipe is the central part of plumbing. Now, pipes come in different shapes and sizes. I'm actually faking it now until I make it because I don't know shit about plumbing. But I do know that all plumbing has got to do with pipes. So I'm making it sound like I'm an expert on pipes. That's what Sammy's saying. So it's actually the morning. Hey, we crossed the 12. I gave you your wish, Sammy. I did that just for you, big boy. I love you, Sammy. And I stayed on till midnight just for you. Now I could go stick something of a dessert in my mouth. So the jokes about B&H cracked me up. Sammy, you're just a sweetheart, all right? I kind of know how to crack you up a little bit. I've known you for a few years now. I was 15 and a half when I finished high school, but we don't believe it just by looking at you, Roy. Now I'm making a joke that hits below the belt. Just by looking at you, Roy, it doesn't look like you graduated 3 years early. I'm sorry to say that to you. Now he's laughing. I don't mean that. I've never seen you. Well, I have seen you, but I mean in person. And the only thing that I know of you actually is you're damn smart. Yes, your jokes go over the heads of most people. I think the people in the UK finish school earlier than we think. Maybe. Are you talking about this year or just in general? I think they make them go to school a lot longer. Okay, now as a kid, I want my damn summers. Okay, so that's about it. So thanks to Sammy, actually, because I care about him so much, I purposely tried to stretch it to go to midnight because he very sweetly, he knows how to work parents. You notice that? Sammy knows how to work parents, all right? He very sweetly said, I would like to watch until midnight, Peter. Please. And then I did what he wanted. Now, if he demanded it, he wouldn't have had a chance in hell. Okay? So now we have reached 3 hours. And now we have reached 12 midnight. Happy July 17th, everybody. It is now, I'm with Roy. Roy and me, we're in the same bed together. We're in July 17th. So I am going to finish this out. I can't think of a way to finish it out other than to say goodbye. If you've been watching this long and you're watching the rerun because you're watching a podcast, okay, there's 2 things I'm asking from you. Number 1, use my links. If you buy something, use my links. If you don't buy something, get damn nosy and go looking through the links to see what the comments are on B&H or on ADORAMA, or click the one to Newegg. I think I put it in there. Okay, and just read the comments and then go, okay, I did what Peter wanted. I have been set free. Okay, if you buy something, use my links. Kyle, use my links. Okay, and what else did I want to say? I don't remember. Oh, if you're watching this and you've watched all the way to here, leave me a comment in the regular comments because it makes me feel like we're connecting. You and me and you. No matter how they toss the dice, it had to be. There's no one else for me but you. Da-da-da-dum. So happy together. Who sang that song? Who? You don't know, do you? Now, don't go looking it up in Google if you don't know. Just say, I don't know. So it goes, me and you and me. No matter how they toss the dice, it's got to be. The only one for me is you and you for me. So happy together. I don't get no loving from no one but you. You're on my mind. That's the way we're going out in song. All right, guys. I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for loving me. And guess what? I love you. And I love you because you guys lift me up. You don't know. Many times a clown hides the fact that they have a sad face. And I try to do that back for you in response. I try, by the time you finish watching me, you're either so damn tired and sleepy, it's like, oh my God. Well, I put you to sleep. What better is it than that? If I was at your house and I could tuck you in and sit in the chair and talk until you fell asleep, I would do it. If you wanted a bedtime story, I would read you a bedtime story. Okay? But I can't do that. So last night, Scotty was in here before? Yeah, I think so. I watched the movie. I went to bed. I was not sleepy. It was Saturday night. I figured I should be out with a girl. It's Saturday night. But I wasn't going out. So you know what I did? I went live last night for twice. I went live for 30 minutes and then I went live for, I think, 15 minutes. And I never said a word. All I did was sing through the whole thing. Improvisation. It was a Christian. It's on a Christian channel. You have no idea where it is. So don't even bother going to look. But all I did was sing songs about Jesus, and I sang and sang and sang, and I finished the show, and I logged off, and Scotty came in, and he just gave me a thumbs up, and then I signed off. And I took off my shirt, and I sat over at the desk, and I was still singing. And I said, why did I sign off? So I went and found some lyrics, because I didn't know the lyrics of some of the songs I was going live with. So I found myself 3 songs. I got the lyrics on a sheet. I went live again after I finished. And I actually changed shirts. So I was live with the red shirt. You listening, Jim Monday? I went live where I did some singing on the red shirt. And then I think I switched over to the blue shirt. But I can't remember. It was either the blue or the yellow shirt. And then I did another where I sang those 3 songs. And that was the first time I ever sang the words to the songs. So you could tell I stumbled a few times. So I just stayed live. Now, if I don't shut up, this is going to turn into another hour. So I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you for being here. I love you guys so much. You mean something to me in my heart. and pray that I become a multi-millionaire, because I will find a way to bless each and every one of you. Okay? So, love you guys. Good night. I'll catch you, if God is willing and the bridge isn't up, next Friday night. And if I get a hair up my nose, I might just go live anyway. All right. Thank you to everybody. I love you. Goodbye. You know what I'm going to do? This is something I should be doing. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to say goodbye and sign off. All right. Bye. Bye, bye, bye. Bye, 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 bye.